right? Theoretically nice, anyways. Potentially nice? I don't know. It's nice. Assuming I'm online, of course, which is always possible that I'm not. So I'll just chill for a bit. Hope that I am, in fact, online. I have the fan on right now, but only a little bit. Because, I just finished recording a bunch of episodes, and it's hot, and I am hot as a resultant. Therefore, I decided to go ahead and turn the fan on. Briefly. Only briefly. I never did this during the lore run. I would suffer! Oh, you mean Witcher 3 grunge. Gotcha. Sorry. Waiting on my sis for that. Told her I'd wait for her, and I'm a man of my word. Also, Psychotic, you are close to correct. While I was waiting for that last episode to render, I went ahead and ate a brownie. I'm sorry, Enigma. I'll turn it off. There. So hi everyone, by the way. Enigma, Chemic, Psychotic, Deacon, Grunge, Sonda, Brazulia, Rory, Deacon, Salty, Azura. Or Azura, I suppose that would be. This is the best game ever! The Witcher 4. Iblis Edition. Corwin. Hey, Corwin. Hello, Raven. I'm going to speak as honestly as I can, Deacon. I appreciate your concern, but I really don't want to talk about it. So, thank you. Hey, Zeiss. Oh, hey, it's that turtle. Didn't I already do this? Oh, I did already do this. Right. I'm actually up here. Right. My bad. Frankenstein, Corwin? Well, that's a comedy movie. Everyone knows that. Hey, Spirit. Salty, I hear that panda bears are quite tasty. Hello, Visual. Wait, damn it. Which Killer Instinct, Enigma? If you don't mind my asking. Go ahead, Visual. What's in April, Rosalia? Hey, Preacher. I haven't seen you in forever, dude. Which is funny, because we were talking about Halo the other day, and I thought about you. And then you weren't here, and you never will be. I said a name. I asked which Killer Instinct were you playing? Holy crap. I'm on TV Tropes. Wow. Thank you, I guess, Visual, because I'm assuming you're the one who put that there. I'm just really amused by that. I've actually, I've had a quiet little goal of getting on TV Tropes for, well, over a year at this point. And, yeah. That's interesting. Huh. That's kind of awesome, I'm not gonna lie. I hope no one sees that today, because I'm just casually streaming FF12 without talking about lore. This is like the opposite of my normal thing right here. Quick, I need to talk about lore. Who wants to talk about context? Wow, I have no... Okay, whatever. Oh, that's why. I'm stupid. Yeah, like I said, it's for the better part of a year, it's been something in the back of my mind. And obviously I'm not going to just go make my own page, because... But, yeah. Alright. So let's see. Why I dislike The Witcher. Reason number 1. The R word is thrown around way too much for my taste. And yes, I did hear about that preacher. In fact, they're actually calling it The Search for More Money, which is awesome. And is what it should be called. Let's see. Reason number 2. It's really depressing because it's all about how feudal life is and how there's no point in existing and everyone should just jump on their swords. And I think that's it. Those are my 2 reasons for not liking The Witchers series. You know, I gotta question Wraithwall's logic in building this massive tomb. Look at that. He clearly carved that out of the ground. So that was just flat plateau until he came along. And he had to dig in just to make this surface thing. And as we know, this tomb goes quite a ways underground. So what the hell was this guy thinking? Of course, on the other side of things, you might... excuse me. You might realize that this was being done on purpose to explain just the severe amount of power, influence, and resources that King Wraithwall had access to. That he could pull off something this incredible, this insane. Funnily enough, we have this kind of thing in real life, actually, with a lot of the old tombs. Hey, Jofro. The Witcher 4, Life is Meaningless. Also, I do own a sword, so... Only the one, though. I lost the other ones years ago. Like back in the 90s. Damn it, Corwin! Oh my god, dude. Okay. I don't think it qualifies as a horror thing, so much as a... where man should not tread kind of a story. Which is more of a message aspect to speculative fiction than anything else. So yay, flying enemies. This boss battle right here convinced me to just focus on having telekinesis on every single character ever as a completely separate gambit, and to go ahead and bother to buy it for every single character and unlock it on everyone's grid. Just because of this boss. Because I got sick of staring at flying enemies and just doing what I'm doing right now, which is this. Hey, sassy dog. I'd rather you not grunge, but only because I haven't finished Witcher 3, so I would like to, you know, experience that myself. So I would like no spoilers. That's not too bad, Darkrai. It's a lot less than I would think. That's the plan, Grunge. Okay, going left. Yeah. Left. Guess what, guys? I am now officially a NASCAR driver. I wonder how many of you guys who are not in the States, you know, my European and whatnot viewers, are wondering what the hell I'm talking about. It's pretty good, Katabo. Not my favorite. I prefer the Esper battle one, personally. Who said that? I'm glad you liked it, Jofro. I'm still torn on doing more in-depth reviews because I've gotten simultaneously more negative feedback about those than I have about anything else ever. Like, across the whole of everything I've ever done, in almost 4.5 years now, I have gotten more negative feedback about the in-depth reviews than anything else. The funny thing is, I've also gotten lots of positive feedback about the in-depth reviews, too. So I'm really torn on whether or not I'm going to do more of those. Time permitting. I do know which games I'm going to look at next, in no particular order: Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy IX, and I don't remember the other one, actually. I know those two are the big ones. I didn't want to do FF5. There's actually not a lot to analyze here. Grunge, she wants to go... She's always wanted to get to the Witcher series, and she and I have discussed it, and I agree, it's more her thing than mine. She prefers that more pseudo-realistic, you know, life is horrible and meaningless thing than I do. And I enjoy the gameplay an exceptional amount, so I would actually be... It would be a backseat run I'd be playing, she'd be doing it. Actually, I was thinking about doing Call of Duty in-depth. One of the good ones. And by good ones, I mean great ones.
Long ago, the gods granted their favor to King Wraithwall, who would oversee the subjugation of a vast territory spanning from Mordalia to Valendia. Here, he forged the Galtean Alliance.
Yeah, Super Mario RPG is just solid gold.
Though he is called the Dynast King, upon establishing the Alliance, he demonstrated compassion for his people and disdain for needless war. A philosophy passed on to his successors, one that would bring peace.
Also, Spirit Blade,
prosperity
Bank of America, by a huge margin.
It was during this time of peace that the city-states of Arcadia and Rosaria, each members of Wraithwall's alliance, took root and flourished.
God, his hair. Actually, I have Rosalia. Only like an hour, though, sadly.
Signifying descent from the Dynast King. Of these, the Midlight Shard was given to what would become House Nabradia.
No, Rigel.
And the Dusk Shard to my ancestors.
I have no real interest in it. I mean, if it's requested, I will, because I have no choice but to do requests. But, yeah.
Was the Dawn Shard. It remained hidden here, known only to those of royal blood.
As though the Dynast King foresaw the very plight before us now.
None save descendants of the king are suffered within. If we attempt to enter without proof of such lineage...
There's no guarantee we'll make it out alive. Vicious beasts, fiendish traps, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea, Darkrai.
But you must consider the prize. The Dawn Shard lies within, and Wraithwall's treasure.
And there was I, thinking this was going to be hard.
Hey, Sanashi. When the Witcher 3 playthrough starts, you guys will probably know well in advance. Especially since it's probably going to be a multi-week thing. That's a big game. So here's an interesting question for you guys. Oh, by the... When I refer to the good Call of Duties, I refer to Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. I know, I get a huge amount of flack, and I mean tons of flack, for the fact that I do genuinely consider Modern Warfare 2 a really great game. But I do. I'm not going to change my opinion just because people yell at me for it. I think Modern Warfare 2 is an amazing game. Modern Warfare 1 is better constructed, has better plot, and better presented characters. Modern Warfare 2 has better themes, better setting building, and made me feel more. And I think the two of them are amazing games. They're easily in my top 100. And Modern Warfare 3 is not good. That's just all I'm going to say about that one. I was so disappointed by Modern Warfare 3. Especially since Modern Warfare 2 ended on such an absolutely nowhere cliffhanger. Oh my god. The Black Ops series... the Black Ops series is good, but it's never sunk its teeth into me. It's never gotten its claws into me, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to better describe that. It's like, I don't feel anything when I play the games, but they're good. It's not a coffee situation, it's just, eh. You know, that actually makes a lot of sense, Wormy. My friend and I tried to play multiplayer Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and we had a lot of fun right up until the bot situation got out of control. Oh, it got so bad. And it was so obvious, too. For those of you not aware, especially in Modern Warfare 3, I don't remember if 2 did this, after you die, you get a kill cam of the guy who killed you. And they weren't even being subtle about it. You would see their perspective, and I'm running around, and the aiming reticle literally snaps straight to my head, and then without moving, in a way that is clearly and demonstrably a bot. It was just, oh my god, really? And yeah, it just killed our enjoyment completely. I've heard about Gothic several times. As ever, anything that I do is at the whims of my viewers, by which I mean my patrons. So I have no idea if I'm going to look at the Gothic series. I don't even know if I'm going to look at the Modern Warfare series, or Call of Duty in general. I know nothing. So Black Ops 3 is the one that just came out, is that correct? Am I right about that? Because I know there was a game that came out which I didn't like all that much, and it's the one with Kevin Spacey in it. Which one was that one? But then I feel like there's been another one since then. Because I haven't played after that one. The Kevin Spacey one was the last one I poked at. Kingdom Hearts? That sounds like a terrible game. I mean, that's probably some Disney crap. Advanced Warfare. Okay, Advanced Warfare was the Kevin Spacey one. God, I did not like that. I mean, it had a couple of good moments. Like, it really did. And then there was the rest of it. I think that more FPSs should do that, Darkrai. So you might wonder why I'm just standing here. Do you guys think I should even try to beat Demon Wall here? Because I'm not that high level, and I'm not that high equipped, and I'm not that good at anything. And this is one of the harder bosses in the game, period, for the level at which you face him. Not the least of which being the fact that he can literally X-Zone me into oblivion. If it wasn't for X-Zone, I actually would be pretty confident in taking this guy out. But he can X-Zone me, so... yeah. Let me make sure I'm... yep. I can cheat. I don't really want to, but I have that capacity within me. Alright, so let's do a quick save state there. Alright, Demon Wall. I also want you to see me lose to him because it's probably one of the most quietly horrifying things in any Final Fantasy ever. I'm dead serious by this. This is disturbing.
Fight or run? We better decide fast.
Hi, I am the one who tips. So anyways, Preacher, I never finished my earlier statement. So what we were talking about the Halo series is how, even though several people have requested it on my Patreon for me to look at it, it's still somewhat unlikely for me to actually do so, just because of the difficulty in actually doing so. It is not a game I could just pick up and do. I would have to purchase, from what I understand, at least 2 Xboxes in order to actually make that happen. Yeah, I literally do not have the damage to do this. So I'm just going to show you what happens when you die to this boss. It is... I'm sorry, this is so disturbing to me. This makes me cringe. Oh, so I'd only have to drop $500 on a Preacher. Same statement applies. This... oh, God. Ugh! I want you to just picture the blood slowly seeping out of the cracks there. Ugh. Yeah, that just is just... I've always been particularly bothered by crushing to death. And I've never seen the movie 13 Ghosts. It's a terrible horror movie. See you around, Corwin. I'm trying to... I think it's called 13 Ghosts, something like that. Anyways, so, yeah. In that particular thing, there's a scene where they've got these glass panes where they can move them around and whatnot, and the villain has gets his girlfriend in between one of them, and I think you already see what's happening here, and just crushes her. And yeah. And of course, imagine what it would have been like if R2 hadn't stopped the trash compactor. The best part is they wouldn't be completely crushed, so they'd probably be alive for a little bit longer as they're there, completely broken and smushed. And yeah, as Zed points out, you can see that her being crushed to death through the glass, because it's glass she's being crushed by. God!
Fight or run? We better decide fast.
I choose... Oh, damn it, Deutsch. It's basically just a lot higher level than we are, and a couple of other things that make it harder. This is the much easier version. Visual final thoughts, net positive. Ending was terrible. Can't wait for DLC. Looking forward to mod support.
War comes, we must be quick. Together we can bring it down.
Oh yeah, someone asked me what the plot of this game is at this point in time. Whoops. I thought that was the... Oh, I'm sorry. I want the left one, don't I? Hang on. Oh, whatever. There we go. Okay. What was I saying? Right, so the plot as of this exact moment in time is that Ashelia blah, 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 is kind of stupid, to say that as nicely as I can, and she thinks that the best possible way to fight the Arcadian Empire's attempt to conquer her kingdom, which has no capacity militarily to actually fight back against the that assault in like any way, shape, or form, is to... Wow, I may be underleveled even for this fight. She thinks the best possible thing to do is to basically just declare that they're independent from the Empire, inviting military retribution and being conquered again for the second time, because she's an idiot who doesn't know how to think long term. Now, yeah, I'm gonna die. Hang on. Anywho, so she is here specifically because she knows that there is something within here that is an artifact of the old Wraithwall King from millennia past, which will prove that she is the actual queen, and therefore can make politically the statement that I mentioned earlier, thereby dooming her people forever. Yeah, okay, so that's not happening. Yes, but that's still the problem, Preacher. I mean, I'm not saying no to a Halo Rumination series. I'm not. It has been requested several times. But the fact that I have to go out and buy an X-Bone for absolutely no other reason than this makes it a much lower priority than everything else, especially since... well, if you look at my Patreon right now, you'll know exactly how much money I make a month. That's quite apparent. I am quite transparent about that. So, yeah.
Fight or run? We better decide fast.
Oh, I should also do that. Let's go... And what else would I get for that purchase, Grunge? Just curious what other purpose it would serve. Like I said, Preacher, I'm not saying no. I'm saying unlikely. Like what, Grunge? Give me an example, dude. If you say Tomb Raider, then no. Also, if I wanted to do a Destiny rumination, I'd go to their website where all the lore actually is. Yes, that was a burn.
The wall comes. We must be quick. Together we can bring it down.
I have no personal interest in Quantum Break, so I can't list that as a positive. Hey, Formosan. Yeah, Rise of Rome is on Steam, also I don't want it. Whoops, wrong one. Honestly, Scalebound? No. Not for me. Once upon a time, this was actually a couple months ago, my friend decided to buy a PS4. He was debating between a PS4 and an Xbox One. And we were looking at it, and I discovered something in the course of figuring out why he should buy one or the other. There's nothing I want on either system, really. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not just saying that as like a generalized, generic, oh ho ho, it's a terrible system. I mean, we did the research and spent a couple of days looking into every game that was out and was coming out. And the net consensus was, well, eventually, I might, under the right circumstances, want a PS4 if the certain games don't come out on PC. That was the consensus. I have in other words, when I say I have zero interest in the PS4 or the X-Bone, I'm not speaking facetiously. I'm not trying to be negative or derogatory. There's nothing there for me. It's like the Vita. I have championed the Vita for being a system that should have been better than it was, and yet nothing on it is worthwhile for me, and I will never buy a Vita because I have no reason to. Zero interest. Yeah, it's pretty helpful if you're much lower level than I am, Silhouette. In fact, it's basically mandatory. Destiny lore in the shortest way I can. I personally think humanity are the Dark Ones. That's my take on it. I haven't read any lore since that's come out, so it's possible that's been confirmed or denied since now, or since then. But that's my take. Die. There we go. Jeez. But I suppose that's not an explanation. You were asking for an explanation. So humanity joined the space age, and then everything went to hell, and now there's this new status quo that exists as a result of that. That's kind of wonky. There you go. There's Destiny's lore in a nutshell. I'm not arguing it, Grunge. Like I said, I'm not trying to bash the Xbone, and I'm not trying to bash the PS4. It's just for me, and I've done the research. There's nothing there for me. And once again, I am not saying I will not look at the Halo series. I'm saying I'm disinclined to look at the Halo series because, well, I shouldn't even have to explain that. It's really, really obvious reasoning. And meanwhile, Preacher has just decided to never watch my show again. Wait, what? He respawns? I didn't know that. Huh. Well, whatever. We still can't fight him. Well, there is admittedly another option if I'm asked to do the Halo series. I could purely do a lore look at it, completely ignore the gameplay, and just like watch a YouTube run of the campaigns and base the rumination off of that and whatever I can read. I don't want to do that, but that is a backup option that would save me like $500. Zoo1 Joker, that's an easy answer. I would follow myself and then kill myself. Seriously though, none of them. None of them. You can't force me. No. They're all bad. It's just different flavors of bad. I should get a save state here. There we go. There will be no lore run of Halo. Let me make that clear. That's not something I feel is doable or feasible. It's a series I can't cheat in. It's a series I've never played, so I'm automatically bad at it. And it's a series that I'd be like, okay, so I'd have to do a ridiculous amount of research on a series I don't know that much about, and play through the whole series, then go back and do the lore run. That is really, really unlikely to happen.
Incredible. It wounds me to look on as they pillage so solemn a place.
Shut up, traitor.
Yet without help, you and I are as nothing. Is this not so? He thinks ever and always on his own profit. Assure him of it, and he shall remain true to our cause.
Which is funny,
share your Majesty's trust.
because that's not actually
We will continue
true.
this later. Now we should concern ourselves with finding the Dawn Shard.
Hey, Zero. Actually, it's funny you say that, Psychotic. Apparently, that doesn't in the international version. You get junk in the international version for taking out the wall.
Waiting, somewhere deep within.
How can you be certain?
I can hear its call.
The Acuria, summon me. I must follow the Acuria. I'm not sure if I could say that I like this version of Espers, because I never used it. Like, I tried it a few times, in the normal version, and I was like, well, this is dumb. And then I stopped using it. For those of you not aware, you summon the Esper, and it has, like, a time limit, and it runs around and fights with you like a guest party member, basically. But the really screwed up thing is they all have an ultimate attack that requires really specific things to happen, and some of those really specific things are really annoying to pull off. So, overall, I didn't actually like this Esper summon system, like, at all. And I basically never used it. I prefer Shiva! That being said, I like the system of summoning a pet who assists you full-time, but very, very few games actually do that. Status of Fallout 3. After I move. That's the status of Fallout 3. No, my Fallout 3 roleplays haven't been going live because I haven't been making them. At least that's what I assume was going on. It's entirely possible that I am presuming. In which case, forgive me. Fallout 4 will be going live, I think in 2 days now. Something like that. No, flooding damage, they won. We've been planning this move for a while, but flooding damage kind of made it get bumped forward about 3 months out of absolutely nowhere. So, yay. Absolutely nowhere. Honestly, this is, I'd say, probably like a fifth of the way into the game, maybe a sixth. Not very far. By the way, let me go on record and say that there is one thing I don't like about FF12, and that's the dungeons, like all of them. I've already explained one of my complaints about this game's dungeons, and that's the graphic set, and then Javan disagreed with me, and we both just kind of agreed on each other's points and moved on. But... really? There we go. I will say that another reason I don't like the dungeons is most of the dungeons are overlong. Just huge, sprawling places that take forever to get through. But most of that is just pushing through enemies, so it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of content to the dungeon, so much as there's a lot of padding to the dungeon. It's just, of course, just my perspective on it, but yeah. I can spoil Halo 5 right now. It's leading into Halo 6. There you go, there's your spoiler. I suppose that is actually a spoiler. I'm sorry, Deutsch. I mean, it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be a spoiler. They are riding this series hard right now. So it's just a job system, Darkrai. If you've ever played Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy III, Bravely Default, a bunch of other games, it's a class system. That's all the Zodiac system is. So, that's it. There's another small list of changes. It's mostly little finicky things like all international versions have. They nerfed a couple things like they always do. Anyone know that they completely nerfed Quick Hit in FF10's International? Given the way things are going, I could see them ending it after 6, but I don't think they're going to. By which I mean, I think that would be a logical conclusion point. But I don't think they're going to. Yes, I know, Preacher. Believe me, I know. If you ever wondered why I groan when people ask me about Halo, it's not because I don't like it, it's because, ugh. I'm glad you're liking it, Sonic. So I had something funny happen to me. I've been accused of a lot of things in my life. Some really crazy, bizarre things. And I've been accused of a couple things on my show. Again, some pretty crazy, bizarre things. But I had a first this last week. For the first time in my life, I have been accused of being amoral. Or immoral, excuse me. I have been accused of being immoral. That caught me so by surprise. Because someone accused me that putting forward a game like Beginner's Guide or Borderlands onto YouTube was unethical. And I was just blown away by that. I was just like, okay then. I mean, I even get the logic. I understand his perspective, and I'm not trying to make fun of Lupine. Lupine? I don't know how to say his name for this. It's just, I cannot disagree more. The idea is basically because of the fact that there's no real gameplay to the Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands series. The idea was that there was no fundamental difference from me uploading a playthrough of that to me uploading me watching a television show, and just commenting on it. Which, in other words, is something that I'm basically giving away content that does not belong to me for free. Is the idea there. Also, hi, it's Omar. Ah! Heal me! Do I have no one on antidote duty? I have no one on antidote duty. I need more gambits. Zero hoip the one! I'm curious what the heck is with the Space Marines thing. That really is confusing to me. Yes, it's Omar. This is the international version. Wow, Brigham. All I'm gonna say, Enigma, is in certain parts of the world, I'm not gonna name names, there is actually a cultural phenomenon around watching people eat food. Not critiquing food, not discussing food, not debating how, you know, the food is made or trying to gush about it or anything like that. Just sitting and eating, no dialogue, no nothing. That's a thing. And the people who do that make more money and are more popular than I am. And that makes me very sad inside. Not an eating contest, just eating. Anyways, I have actually played this before it's Omar, so it's still awesome. There's a couple things I don't like about the international version. I'm not gonna lie about that, but overall, it's still the same FF12 gold that we all know and love. Well, some of us love it, but we all know it. Damn it, Darkrai. Good, Psychotic. That's the idea. Whoa there. Hey, Aguirre. You're right, guys. I'm going to make a new channel. It's a new section on my show. It's called Drinking Canada Dry. Oh, hang on. So, anyone want to hear a cute story about Miniza? Some of you have probably already heard me say this, because this is not a new story. So the little one likes to emulate her uncle on many different ways and many different occasions. And she's picked up on something of a bad habit of mine. So when I drink, I tend to do something like this. And there's just that little thing I do afterwards. The thing. So she has made it a point that when she takes a drink, she'll actually pause after her drink and very demonstrably go, and then goes back into it. Well, I'm sorry that I'm just doing a chill run at the moment, Voldays. I swear I'll go back to regular streams in the future. Unless you guys enjoy the chill run, in which case that's awesome. But I don't expect you to. It's the whole point of a chill run, is just to chill. Yeah, fun fact, I actually have like 5 or 6 April Fool's ideas a year. I always have to pick which one I do anytime April Fool's comes around. It's such a weird problem to have. Well, the little one is... If you look up cute in the dictionary, you'll find a picture of her right beside it. Now, words. I will say that she's getting pretty good at Super Mario 64. And by pretty good, I mean she's mastered some of the basic controls, such as how to jump and how to do the lunge attack and that kind of a thing. Also, speaking of the food thing, I wanted to be really clear about what I meant by the, I don't know what a whopping chode is. What I meant by that is the whole, you know, just sitting there and eating thing. I actually used to watch quite a few food shows myself, some cooking ones, there was one that was about international foods, which was actually pretty nice. There was also one called Man vs. Food, which was actually my favorite, because the honest enthusiasm of the man towards food was pretty great, and I liked that. And I also liked the way he presented it was pretty high quality. So I enjoyed seeing him touring the country here in the States and just showcasing different eateries. And of course, then he would do the actual challenges, the actual food challenges. But that's, you know, that's another thing. So, Preacher, I still haven't been to the Delta Quadrant. Hey, Big Filthy. Okay, so I did that side. Also, I need to go pre-order the new Zelda and Twilight Princess if I haven't already. I can't remember if I have or not. I know I was waiting until after January 1st so I could put it for my 2016 taxes. Hey, Captain Javi. I refuse to answer, it's Omar, for various reasons. Actually, fun fact, Maz, he once went to a barbecue place in California that I'd actually been to, which I thought was just kind of neat. I was like, wait, I recognize that place! I don't remember the name of it now. It was a ribs place, specifically. I'm gonna say not quite an Ermagod, Captain Shabby, but pretty enthused. An STO lore run? I haven't decided yet, Dark. Haven't you already made a request, Preacher, and wasn't it for Halo? No, I have not, Little Billy. Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Braglin on that one, Grunge. I am not the person to ask about that kind of thing. I swore off relationships over a decade ago for a good reason. Oh. I will say that, of course, Twilight Princess is my personal favorite Zelda game, so it's not like I'm not enthused. I don't have any... Really? Where the heck? I swore I had some needles. Oh, there they are. I was just say, I should have needles. With FF13, absolutely, Darkrai. With FF12, yes. I would also say that with most games in general. I will freely admit there are very few games I actively recommend you play rather than watch. And I know that sounds weird, since I love playing games, and I feel like for me personally, I don't want to watch FF12, I want to play FF12. But I will still freely admit that there's only a few games that really you lose some of the experience without playing it. Like Dragon Age Origins is a good example of that. And I would also argue Mass Effect 2 falls into that category, ironically. And I would argue that... I'm sure I can think of others. I can't think of others off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a few others like that. No, FF6 would be a play, I think. Oh god, Maz. That sounds horrible. That sounds like that would take so long. What do you mean, Zawan? Are you not entertained? I can't do the voice. I have never tried speedrunning 12, no. I'm curious what the current record is for that. But there's a reason Kefka is among my favorite villains of all time, and it's not because of bias. It's not because he's from FF6. It's because he's an absolutely incredibly terrifyingly, horrifyingly awesome villain. In my opinion, of course. I personally like the Mass Effect series, Big Filthy, so obviously I'm a bit biased positively towards it. So I'd go ahead and say, yeah, it's worth playing. But, you know, play 1 and 2. And then hope that Andromeda continues the series.
Fog? Underground?
Not fog. Mist.
You can see the mist with your eyes?
So can you.
Where it is thick enough, you may. The nether runs deep in this place.
So, is the mist dangerous?
Yes, but it is also an aid. A dense mist allows the working of powerful magics.
I'll keep that in mind. Can't count on Vaughn to keep track of these things. That's for sure.
He's such an idiot. Ha ha ha. What? Really, Darkrai? Really, dude? I gave you like this big old 2-minute response, and your internet cut out. An argument could be made that you don't need to play any video game, that there's only a very, very small number of video games that you absolutely have to play. And even those ones, that argument actually falls short. So the general idea is you could watch any game and not have to play it if all you're interested in is the story and whatnot. And that's a perspective. That is a perspective. Do I have any rags on me? I do! Team Fortress 2 lore run right now. Except I don't have it on me. But just imagine I have a sandwich. There you go. Team Fortress 2 lore run. I'd just like to say I hate the designs of all the Espers. They look too unnecessarily weird to me. Sorry, I know that's an unpopular opinion, and I don't care again. I don't like their designs. The only one I find interesting at all is the gentleman who has the woman as a shield, which is just... The only reason that's interesting is because it's horrifying. Yes, it does, Enigma. Especially lately. Hey, Lumpmore. But yeah, the tattooed, weird, furred, decored, four-armed, two-headed, horned thing. Not my thing. Cooking with Asha and Gaia. First, take your Canada Dry. Stir lightly. Then drink. Ow. I'll be talking about it, Preacher. I doubt there's anything I'm going to leave out on purpose. That's called pendulum theory, Darkrai. At least I call that pendulum theory. It's one of the very few theories I have that I actually named. But yeah, it's pendulum theory. In action. You know what this thing reminds me of? Any Fiend from FF10. And I just like it for the exact same reason as thereof. By the way, you're probably right, Preacher, and that makes me sad. See you around, Spirit Blade. Some people enjoy the gameplay, Zuan, like me. I enjoy playing JRPGs. And of course, there's the story, which is by and part the majority of the appeal of a JRPG, without question. This may kill me, by the way. But I actually enjoy playing them. I enjoy the combat. Weird, I know, but there it is. Yeah, so we're gonna go into recovery mode here for a second. We're gonna change this around a little bit here. I don't want that, Preacher. I guess that's the best way to put it. Let me put it to you this way, Preacher. Rey being Skywalker's daughter is incredibly obvious, blatant, and apparent. It's the thing that is, like, the most logical thing to happen, right? Why have it be a mystery at that point? Why keep it... Why not just say that flat out? Rey Skywalker. Bam. Done. Fixed. But they don't do that. They try to keep this whole hidden mystique aspect of her family, while still at the same time calling out attention to the fact that she doesn't know about her family. They even drop some good foreshadowing about it throughout the course of the movie. Why bother doing that if it's the most blatantly obvious apparent thing in the world? I hate it when stories do that. World of Warcraft did that. When there was this big thing throughout Pandaria, who's going to be the next war chief? Who's going to be the next war chief? And the blatant, obvious, apparent answer was Vol'jin. But no, there was hints that I was going to be Lord Thamar, and his star was on the rise, and there were a couple other things that were going on, and I'll talk more about that in a while. Lorun, and after all the hints and teasing and all that, it was Vol'jin. That makes it worse, just because they built up nothing. Let me give you another example. Khan from Into Darkness. They flat out lied about the fact that he wasn't Khan leading up to Into Darkness's release. And they were like, oh no, it's some other guy and it's some other thing. And they dropped a few hints about it being, what's his name? Mitchell. There were hints that it was actually Gary Mitchell, which actually would have been much cooler, I think, than Khan, but whatever. And so, big build-up and no, it's Khan. I hate that! I hate it when you build up to nothing. It's worse than if you just flat out said, oh, it's Khan. Oh, it's Vol'jin. Oh, it's Skywalker. I hate that crap. Now, that being said, I also am of the opinion that she shouldn't be of the Skywalker lineage. If I was writing it, I would not make her of the Skywalker lineage. But I've already talked about that. No need to repeat my my thoughts there. You know what would have made FF12 a better game? I mean, it's already a great game, but what would have made FF12 a better game? If the Espers had dialogue and some real story to them. I mean, this is the frickin' Lucavi here. What happened between the Lucavi's attempted takeover and FF12? What happened? I've wondered that for years.
In vain glory they arose, shouting challenges at the gods, but prevail they did not. Their doom it was to walk the mist until time's end.
Yeah, that right there is the only hint about what we had about the Espers. We also don't know if that happens before or after Tactics. It's kind of vague. Also, Tactics occurs like 10 millennia before 12, so there's this gargantuan period of time in between the two. Yeah.
A legend of the Nemo.
My family tells a story of the Dynast King and an Esper. The story goes that in his youth, the Dynast King defeated a mighty Gigas, for which the gods took heed of him. Thereafter, it was ever bound to him in thraldom.
So, all this time it's been here guarding the Dynast King's treasure?
Sorry, Grunge. This game was donated for and requested almost a year ago, and I tend to adhere to my requests. When I'm done with FF12 International, the next ones that have been requested are Star Trek, Space Marine, and Just Cause 3 are the ones on the current streaming schedule.
Esper is the Dynast King's treasure.
That's your treasure?
In this Esper we now command rests a power whose worth is beyond any measure.
Is that so? Call me old-fashioned, but I was hoping for a treasure whose worth we could measure.
I can explain the Esper's lore very simply, because there's really not a lot to it. It's really boils down to this. So the Ocuria created these servitude beings, called them sentient golems, and called them the Espers, or whatever the heck they call them. Eidolons, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Yeah, they, I'm with Opinion Preacher, I was just explaining my side of things. So they created these things, and at some point in time, and again, we don't know when, Ultima, the leader of the group, decided that they were sick of the Ocuria's control, and decided to go up and rise up against the Ocuria. That didn't work out so well. The Ocuria defeated the crap out of them, and basically bound them to these, I forget what they actually call them, the sigil things. We actually saw Belias's a second ago. And those sigils forevermore limited their power, and bound them to whoever controlled the sigil. So now these great, powerful golems would now be controlled by whoever had their sigil. They were basically little more than slaves, and could be even slaves of mortal races, which was a huge insult to immortal creatures like the Espers. Now, why they decided to do the whole thing in FF Tactics, I have absolutely no idea, because the story I just told you doesn't line up with that at all. Like, seriously. But then again, as I mentioned, there is a stupid amount of time between Tactics and 12, and honestly, the two games might as well not even be connected as a result of that. Yeah, there you go. There's some lore about the Espers. Bamf. Now, I've heard several people prefer Mass Effect 1's Celestial. But yes, these are now a slave race in every way that matters, Rory. In fact, Belias is now enslaved to us. It's a combo thing. In other words, you literally attack 4 times. Like what's the one? Go. Vagrant's story is also in the same setting, but really doesn't tie into the stories at all.
What's wrong?
Your Majesty, we must go.
I like how Vossler's... Okay, so I want to explain this really quick. Vossler's reaction right there was basically... He was hoping it wasn't here. For those of you not aware, Vossler has already sold us out to the Arcadian Empire. And he was kind of hopeful that the Dawn Shard wouldn't be here, so he couldn't go forward with the plans for Ashelia, to be instituted as a puppet ruler underneath Vane's control in the Arcadian military. And the shard is there, which means now the person he's trying to protect and take care of has just become a puppet ruler, and he knows that she's going to absolutely hate that, and it's entirely possible she may literally kill herself rather than be reported to kill herself over that. So he's pretty upset to see that the shard was actually there. FF13-2, you know, I've never actually played it. I know the story, but I've never actually played it, so I can't really comment other than that. Caius was an interesting character, even though, well, yeah.
What?
So to make this clear for anybody not aware of this, this is not him. This is the Ocuria deceiving her into doing their bidding. And I want to mention that, because it really showcases how either alien or evil the Ocuria are. Take your pick. It could also be both, by the way. The Ocuria are willing to appear to a wounded, traumatized woman and the visage of her dead husband, whom she did love, in order to manipulate her into doing their bidding. Just to give you a parallel, the only other thing I can think off the top of my head that did something like that is freaking Kil'jaeden in Warcraft. Kil'jaeden, who manipulated Ner'zhul into learning demonism and warlockism and drinking of blood and all that fun stuff by appearing to him as his dead wife. That's the level of messed up that the Ocuria are doing. Oh, thank you. Yogg-Saron actually did that too. Forgot about that. But yeah, this is messed up is what I'm trying to get across. This is evil. It's either evil because they're alien and therefore don't understand our concept of morality, or it's evil because they're evil. Take your pick. I will also point out one interesting thing. It is fascinating to me that the Ocuria's mindset is the only way for humanity to flourish is for one unified empire to conquer the entire world, and for that empire to be a puppet under the strings of the Ocuria. If you're missing it, that means the plot of the Ocuria is to conquer the world, which is usually the plot of evil villains. But, you know. Hey, Nethrezim. Ah, gotcha, Z1. I have played Revenant Wings and I hated it. I did not like anything about it at all. Yes, we literally are, Darch Monster. Also, the fact that he sees it is something that I've discussed at length. But he also sees the Ocuria there. Because of the methods which they're using to communicate with them. I also like the hint of Wraithwall being the conquering...
You will be avenged.
You know, avenging conqueror. This is a nice touch here, too, by the way. They're all looking at her like, what the hell? The only one looking at Rossler, you know, the Ocuria, is Vaughn there. And yeah, Formosan is right. The Ocuria overall look like angelic beings, and Vana looks much more like a demonic being. But that's actually a very common thing in JRPGs in general, and Japanese fiction in general. The great angelic wonderful beings being evil, and the terrible dark beings being not. Or at the very least, not as evil. It is worth noting Vana is not a good guy. Let's make that clear. But Vana is definitely more of a good guy than the entire rest of the Ocuria. Oh yeah, and then there's the stone they just got. Don't worry, guys. You're going to get a first-person peek of exactly what this stone can do. Like, we've heard tales, and we will see the results of what these stones can do. But we're going to actually see what this stone can do in just a few minutes. So I hope you enjoy the show. A protagonist who wants to conquer? Yeah, Delita. Someone get that, please. Darkrai, here's a question for you. How many people do you think knew Vader turned away from the dark side? Personally, I view Vana as a severe pragmatist. In other words, a perfect parallel to Vayne. Because I don't think Vayne is evil. Severely pragmatic. Severely willing to do whatever the ends are needed in order to justify them, doing whatever means are necessary in justification of the ends. But I do not think Vayne is evil. That's my interpretation of Vayne. I think Vana is in the same situation. In other words, Vana is not evil, but he is also not good any more than Vayne is. They just want something that is overall beneficial for everyone at any cost. By any means necessary. So the Rush Act has been put into effect. Well, I don't know what else to say to that, really, Darkrai. Also, I'd just like to say that this scene irritates me. I know this is entering nitpicky territory, but the Leviathan has anti-yacht engines. Not the entire Leviathan's fleet, which I think is the 12th fleet. No, I saw it, Preacher. I'm debating if I agree or not, and I don't think I do, but at the same time I think I do, for the same reason that Halo I usually eject from conversations, as far as verses, because Halo is a little bit ridiculously overpowered from a setting perspective.
Such
right up there with
honor
40k.
to again be graced with your presence, Majesty.
Hello, Geese.
You left us with such great dispatch upon our last encounter that I must confess I had begun to worry that we may have given your Majesty some cause for offense.
Such a heartfelt display of remorse. Now what is it you want?
I want you to give me the Nethicite.
The Nethicite?
That is a base imitation. We seek Wraithwall's legacy, the ancient relics of the Dynast King. Day-affected Nethicite. Did you not tell them, Captain Azalus?
Majesty, he speaks of the Dawn Shard. That is the Nethicite. Are you mad, Vossler? If we are to save Dalmasca, we must accept the truth. I will fight this profitless battle no more.
Captain Azalus has struck a wise bargain. In return for the Dawn Shard, the Empire will permit Lady Ash to reclaim her throne, and the Kingdom of Dalmasca will be restored. Think on it.
Okay, so I just want to point something out really quick. It would be incredibly foolish to accept this bargain, even though they literally have a sword to the throat during the course of it. What I mean by that... So I'm trying to think of a parallel, and I'm failing, so let me just say it straight up. They're offering the sovereignty of an entire kingdom, which they've already conquered, and they've already taken, and they're offering that whole kingdom back on a silver platter with the rights restored, and blah, 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 and all these things that are incredibly valuable and incredibly ridiculous in exchange for a stone. That's all they want in exchange for all of that is a stone. Now, now I have no doubt Guise would not want to honor that bargain. Vayne might. But in exchange for all of that, that's like being given, you know how it is. You are being offered a deal that you know is too good. And it's automatic suspicion. But this is way more than that. This is the worst type of negotiating from the perspective of Judge Guise. He is only getting away with this because he has a sword at their throat. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. I mentioned earlier how Judge Guise... sure thing, Salty. Judge Guise, as already described, is not a good leader. He is not very charismatic. He is not very tactically brilliant. He is, in fact, a politician, in the bad sense of the word, who is purely ambitious and just kind of wants power and the benefits of power rather than to actually rule. And Guise, he is in this situation. You see, okay, a real politician, someone who is actually skilled at manipulation or negotiation, would never just offer this bargain, because in addition to the fact that it's a ridiculous bargain, you are tipping your hand by admitting, even if he doesn't intend to follow through on it, he is admitting flat out how valuable this stone is. He is saying this thing is way more important to us than your entire kingdom. Now that's true, but you don't tell the person you're bargaining with that. Hey, Happy Mask Worker. You don't do that. That's silly and stupid from a negotiating tactic. But he is so arrogant as to do so because he thinks he can get away with it because, again, of everything I said earlier, he's not that smart, he's not that brilliant, he's not that cunning, he's not that anything. He is just interested in his own power. Oh, by the way, fun fact, he also wants this stone so badly, not just because Vayne does, but because he knows Vayne wants it so badly, so he thinks he can use it to take over. And in his own, I forget how he says it, but he's like, blood alone does not an emperor make, or something like that. In other words, we see very plainly that Guise wants to take over not just the military of Arcadia. The whole of the Arcadian Empire is the extent of Judge Guise's ambition and greed. And we'll see the results of that greed, and like I said, in a few minutes.
An entire kingdom for a stone. You must admit, 'tis more than a fair exchange.
And when all is said and done, your master will have another pet.
Lady Ash, let us take him for the people of Dalmasca. Your Majesty wallows in indecision on peril of their heads.
And this is how stupid Geese is. Geese is the kind of person who has a diplomacy score of 1 and an intimidation score of 12. He has no concept of complexity, subtlety, or deviousness. His idea of coercing someone is to quite literally, physically hold a sword at their throat. You thought I was kidding earlier, didn't you?
And his shall be the first to fall.
I mean, really.
At least your sword is to the point.
Also, Balthier is awesome.
To think the relics of the Dynast King were deifacted nethicite, Dr. Sid will be beside himself.
What did you say?
Captain Azulus, take them to Shiva. They should have leave to return to Rabanastre soon.
By the way, this scene is part of why I think Guise was actually planning to fulfill this bargain in the short term. But when Guise took over the Arcadian Empire, if he succeeded in his plan, I don't think he was then going to leave Dalmasca alone. I think he was just going to walk in with a sword to their throats and say, "You're mine now," because that's the kind of man he is. The grand plan of Vayne is complicated and convoluted. You're going to have to be more specific with me, Formosa. Yeah, I liked that psychotic. Really good facial animations in this game. Dr. Sid.
I want you to assess its power.
Did our orders not specify that we return the stone for testing?
I will not chance returning with a stone that is yet unproven.
What a blatant lie. See you around, Preacher. Hope you liked the video. Oh, by the way, Preacher, I hope my memory is not failing me here. I do want to do more Archie and Gaius Theater in the future. I don't get a lot of feedback about that show. But I do kind of... I want to do more of that series. But that series takes a colossal amount of time and effort, and that's why I haven't gotten around to it, and I'm sorry. So, Geese lacks any level of subtlety. He's the kind of man who rises to power because of his connections to other men. And that's all over the place, really. Like, we see bits and pieces of that everywhere. Ah, right, the defeat of the Ocuria. It's funny you say that, Formosa. If you pay attention, they never actually do defeat the Ocuria. They just remove the Ocuria's connection to the world. I imagine, of course, that you are talking about exactly that, the Christ. I have full belief, personally, especially because the Bahamut was already built. Excuse me. The Bahamut was already built. That the plan on Vayne's side all along was to take out the Sun Christ. Like, that was literally the goal. Removing that gets rid of all of the Ocuria's direct abilities to influence the world, and pours all that latent energy into the Bahamut. So, remove the Ocuria from the equation and give us the strongest airship in the entire world in one fell swoop. So, that's what I assume Vayne's plan was. I haven't actually listened to the soundtrack of Type O yet, and I have not gotten to play it yet. Oh god, Darch Monster. Yes, I can imagine, and that's horrifying. God.
Dalmasca, we can announce that you are alive and well. I will then continue our negotiations with the Empire.
Okay, that line right there is why Vossler made a mistake. I've actually already explained why Vossler made a mistake, and I've gone into detail about the realities of that, and why I don't blame Vossler for being a traitor. I don't. He made the correct decision from his perspective with his limited information at the time. But that line explains why it was a mistake. Continued negotiations. If you have not completed negotiations as of the point at which we, the side that he is representing, Dalmasca, has already given up everything that you have as a negotiating tool, so you bring nothing to the table, and the enemy has everything, and you're still continuing negotiations, you've made a mistake as of that point in time. See you around, Happy Mask Maker. I mean, I know you're going to be lurking, but, you know, If you have anything else to say, go for it. I also agree with you, by the way. I like having a variety of villains every now and again. It's one of the reasons I liked the Darkspawn so much in Dragon Age Origins, because it was nice to have just a sheer black backdrop villain. It was really well done, I thought. Agreed, Formosan.
The key. He'll listen to us. We should trust him.
Who are you, Vossler, to talk of trust?
Also, his comment about Larsa is absolutely correct there. I agree with him firmly on that. Rogue Planet. Actually, it's almost February 1st. Yeah, Monday. So there will be... Correct, Zeiss. There will be a new Rogue Planet going live February 1st. No, I am not salty, by any definition.
A son of Dalmasca.
Yeah, really. I like how she can instantly tell. I want to emphasize this, okay? This is the level of power of these stones. Simply being put in the cage and having just the beginnings of like 1% of its power tapped was so noticeable to someone who is already sensitive to the mist, like a Vieira, that over here is the Leviathan and way over here is the Shiva. And from this distance, she could tell the instant it went in. That's how much power it was outputting. Okay, I want that in your mind. It helps explain a lot of what's about to happen.
So we'll be using the ship's drive to make our assessment. Once we've connected the stone, the reaction should be easily measured.
Methods do not interest me, only results.
Shut up, Geese. God, you're an idiot. A blunt idiot. And it's affecting her this much.
The mist, it's burning.
Hasn't even started yet. They've just put it in the engine.
6,800, 6,900, 7,000.
Okay, now they've started.
This must be deified nethicite. The count still climbs.
Ah, we found it at last. True day-affected nethicite. The power of the Dynast King in my hands. Blood alone does not an emperor make, vain.
What is this? Something's wrong.
Oh God, you idiot. Oh.
You stand. Hold her down.
Hey, CBP. Oh, this scene just makes my skin crawl. By the way, notice she literally physically ripped her braces off.
What's wrong with her?
I always knew Fran didn't take well to being tied up.
She literally, just physically ripped them open.
How about you?
I like Fran's idea. Let's get out of here.
No farther! Sky Pirates, the future of Dalmasca will not be stolen.
Vossler?
Why do this, Bosch? This struggle is futile. You must know where it leads.
I do know. All too well.
He would. He lost his kingdom for the same pointless, futile fight. For the record, despite the fact that I constantly call Vossler traitor, I never really hold it against him. I don't know if I've made that clear enough, but I think it's really... Well, it's psychotic. I want to make that absolutely clear. Oh, she does have Berserk status! That's funny. That's actually really funny. I didn't know that. And that is some really nice continuity right there. I think that it exists, Starcry. I have no thoughts on that whatsoever. Hey, not through Zim. Yeah, Vossler's the only one carrying a big frickin' sword of like all the human characters. Although, as I've said before, Bergen certainly pulls off some superhuman feats as well. I was discussing that the other day in Authorism, and why I feel this is not an aping of Star Wars, as some people have accused it of, but rather a proper homage to Star Wars and its themes and the way it presents itself, yada yada yada. All the ways, Darkrai. It is clearly nothing more than a one-to-one copy-paste of Star Wars. No, in all seriousness, though, the ships is actually one of the biggest things, as far as the entire concept of how ships are everyday, and the space battles and the fleets. That's all Star Wars all over the place, and again, deliberately. There are a few other things that are deliberate homages to Star Wars. I actually can't remember any right off the top of my head, apparently, because I'm stupid. By the way, anybody who wasn't here earlier, you want to see something that I'm actually pretty jazzed about? If you go to TV Tropes right now and look up Archie and Gaia, well, the sentence finishes itself, doesn't it? God, I just do not do damage right now. Do I have any better? Nope. Does he have any better? No. Does she have any better? No. Oh well. I really should have gone and gotten that better katana before I did all this stuff, but oh well. I'll get it next. It's pretty much my next stop anyways. Yeah, I actually have a TV Tropes page. I'm really, really happy about that. It's been a private goal of mine for the better part of a year now. Actually, I guess since it's almost February, it's been over a year now. So, yay. Poor Bosch. He is not having a good time. Jeez Louise! 7 combo in my face. Ow. The significance of this scene, by the way, if you're not catching it, is remember, Ash still thinks, although she is in fact probably questioning that at this point, that Bosch was the one who killed her father and betrayed her country. And yet the person she's trusted for the last 2 years, Vossler, is the one who just betrayed them. And now Bosch is standing between Vossler and Ash. So, nice directing in this game.
Engine power falling rapidly. It's negative. Impossible. We cannot maintain orbit. Report.
What are they doing down
what's
there?
happened.
The Nemesis draining the ship's power.
Disengage it at once.
I want that
We're
number
trying
3
to
unit
go
sealed.
good.
It's infected. Reach critical in 300. Cascade failure.
Can we leave now?
Ash, let's go.
All I have done, I've ever thought of Dalmasca first.
I believe that, by the way. After all, what would a soldier know of politics?
I would ne'er gainsay your loyalty. Look on what my haste has wrought. Did I act too quick? Or was your return too late?
Both.
I can serve her no more. You must take up my charge.
By the way, that previous scene should have happened after this one, I think. Because then the fact that they just take this time to say goodbye seems ill-timed. And Judge Geese is dead. A lot of people are dead. Yes, Noel. No, seriously. A lot of people are dead.
get a little dicey.
The mist. It manifests now.
Is that what you call this?
Hey, Leander. Note the ship that survived. That's important because it helps explain how everyone knew what happened. Remember that both Rosaria and Arcadia are fully aware of the fact that this incident happened.
Then what are we waiting for?
Yeah, Foo Dogs. I know how big the Leviathan is. We just watched several thousand people get vaporized.
The dreadnought Leviathan is sunk.
8th Fleet, that was it.
The 8th Fleet of the Arcadian Imperial Army lost. As word of the events in the yacht sounded throughout the Empire, quit I Bujerba, citing sudden malady. My true motive, to bring the various counter-imperial forces scattered throughout Ivalice together in unified resistance.
By the way, in case you missed that, Geese's haste just cost them an entire fleet. It's mentioned several times, even though that they have like 10 or 12 fleets or whatever. That the loss of that fleet was a really big deal. And the Arcadian military is one step away from crippled. Now, this is also brilliant, because if you're not catching it, for those of you not aware of the real-life Cold War, thank you, Sassy Dog. I appreciate the donation. Next time I do a light versus dark thing, I'll put that towards it. In the Cold War, the way a Cold War is maintained is both sides are basically equal and have basically the same reason not to actually go to war with each other. So that's relevant because imagine if in the middle of the Cold War, an entire fleet of Russian ships, and I mean a whole fleet, just went away. What do you think that would have done to the Cold War? How badly do you think that would have destabilized things? So Rosaria and Arcadia have been in a Cold War situation for decades. And they just lost not just the 8th Fleet, but a freaking dreadnought, of which they only have 2. 2 dreadnoughts, 1 carrier. Those are the big capital ships in the Arcadian military, and they just lost one of those 3. So not only is the Marquis taking this moment to actually take this moment to go ahead and push for having the resistance actually oppose Arcadia, now that Arcadia's military has just taken a huge setback, but now Rosaria is going to be like, ha-ha, excellent, and start pushing up against Arcadia. So I'm explaining all this because I want you to understand just how badly Guise just screwed up. He completely ruined Vane's plan, and I mean completely ruined it. Vane now has to adjust his plan and move in a different direction as a result of that action. So that's the first thing he did. Second thing he did is he ensured that the Dawn Shard will no longer be in Imperial hands. Pretty big screw-up. Oh, right, he killed thousands of his own people, including himself. That's a pretty big screw-up. And he's ensured that a Cold War that's been maintained for years has now gone hot, on top of the fact that he has now ensured that the resistance against the military finally has support to actually move forward. And all of that was because Guise was a greedy bastard who lacked subtlety. I love this because if you're paying attention, hi Krenzler, if you're paying attention, Guise is doing the exact same thing the party does. Remember that one of the things I love about FF12 is throughout the course of the game. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't even talking about the explosion. That was a huge explosion. People in Dalmasca saw that explosion with the naked eye. That's how big that was. So just add that to the pot of doom that just happened. The party, like almost the whole game, tries to play politics up against Vane and loses at every turn. And it's not until they finally just act as a blunt instrument and just walk up and kill him that we have a situation in which Vane finally loses against them, because Vane is not equipped to deal with personal power. He's equipped to deal with political power, right? I mention that because that's kind of exactly what Guise just did. Vane's plans were proceeding basically perfectly, and everything was lined up for him to have everything done. The Christ would probably be destroyed within a few days, if not weeks, or weeks if not days, excuse me. And then he would have the Bahamut, and then he would push forward against Rosaria, and everything would be good. But no, all of that was screwed up because one person decided to do something unpredictable and, frankly, kind of stupid. I love that. And no, Rory, unfortunately, I've known that was going to happen for some time because I know the nature of airships in my setting. I built that in long before the campaign actually began. I am stressed to hell, Krenzler, but I thank you for your concern. It was moved forward several months, which is the big reason why it's such an unexpected, whoa, kind of a thing. But whatever.
By this time, Lady Ash had made her return to Rabanastre. She had not, however, made known her presence.
Probably, Rory. I freely admit I am inspired by fictional works in the designing of mine. I'm not trying to pretend I'm wholly unique or whatever.
My error in announcing her suicide would be known, to the great detriment of my efforts to assemble a resistance. In such circumstance as the Lady Ash then found herself, even were she to proclaim Dalmasca restored, it would serve only to invite the Empire's wrath.
Yep. If you prefer Nothrism, I could start weeping on camera, but I don't think you'd enjoy it that much.
Though Arcadia had lost her 8th fleet, she remained, as ever, a military power with which to be reckoned.
Love the voice actor for Ondor, by the way. I know I've said that before, but it's still true. But yeah, no, Rory is correct. There is definitely some inspiration in Primus from Final Fantasy XII, and the setting, specifically the world of Final Fantasy XII. I freely admit that the teleporter around Rabanastre that the Mughals maintain, in many ways inspired the hub that the Scions built on Dareth and on Aburian. Had to think about that for a moment. Oh my god, it's the Executor! Seriously, look at it. It's an SSD. Look at it. Thank you, Nothrism. See you around, Sonashi.
The Rosarian Empire assembles a vast host under guise of martial exercises. It is our belief they wait for the proper pretext, the sooner to make their strike against Arcadia.
The loss of Leviathan and her fleet at such a time comes as a most grievous blow.
By the way, some obvious Roman Empire / Roman Republic vibes here, but I don't mean that as an insult. It's actually one of the more fascinating governments in history, in my opinion. A group that is run by an emperor and a senate simultaneously. It's a really unique situation, and I really don't know what else to say about it other than it's a constant power struggle between basically everyone. I've often theorized personally in my own government theories and works and thinkings and whatnot, that this type of government is the kind you deliberately make to ensure that no one at the actual top has any real power because they're spending all of their power constantly fighting each other, and the people beneath them are the ones actually making decisions. In fact, if anyone's paying attention, a similar situation exists in the Kingdom of Alluvia. Existed, past tense, in the Kingdom of Alluvia, right up until the invasion of the Tumarok. The idea was that they... See you around, Lord Omicron. The idea was the Queen, the High Queen Alyssa, deliberately made a situation where all the different groups were fighting against each other constantly so that she could actually run the kingdom.
Were Rosaria to invade, the battle would be hard fought.
Yeah, Rosaria officially...
Had Lord Vane not deployed the fleet so capriciously, we would not now find ourselves in such perilous circumstance.
And that right there is probably the Senate's biggest flaw. They have no subtlety in their politics. They flat out, blatantly blame Vane for something that is not his fault, just because they're trying to hurt his position and call into question his leadership so that they could bring him to task and defeat him again politically.
Lord Vane shall be made to answer for his actions.
By the way, that's Logain right there.
Of the Senate. Excellency, Though he be your son, justice must be served.
Seriously, that was Tyrion Logain right there.
A convenient thing, justice. And so I must now make a choice between my throne and my son.
What Marley says is correct, too.
A most lamentable situation for us all.
Oh? For Lord Vane, perhaps. Yet surely Lord Lauser will make for a fine emperor.
Lauser so adores his brother, and he is yet young.
Love the voice acting in this game.
But he will not remain young forever. Already he busies himself unraveling Lord Vane's tangled skein. Lord Larsa has found his role to play and pursues it with some enthusiasm.
Ah, yes. And who would set him at such tasks?
What matter? Lord Vane himself once saw his elder brothers brought to like justice, did he not? At your Excellency's behest, as I recall.
You may put yourself at ease, Lord Gramis. So long as the Senate watches over her, Arcadia's well-being will ever be ensured.
Ugh.
By your will, I shall bid Vane return to Arcades.
Now, I want to explain something, because this is the difference between obvious politics and subtle politics. What the Senate just did, obvious politics. I already explained that. Called Vane out, called him to task, said he has to come back, and flat out endorsed Larsa as the new emperor, and basically flat out said that even though they know the emperor's dying soon, they intend to take power and run Arcadian Empire without an emperor who's strong or whatever. That's all blatant and obvious. And at first glance you think, well, the Senate won that engagement. But they didn't. Emperor Gramis won that engagement because he, in his own quiet, subtle maneuverings, acquiesced to the request in such a way to ensure that Vane would be able to return, take the throne from him, basically sacrificing his own life in order to ensure that the line and legacy would continue, that Arcadia would still be taken care of, because he trusted Vane, for all his capriciousness, to be more capable of running the Empire than he trusted the Senate, and ensuring that Vane would be in a perfect position with his own death to blame the Senate and remove them from power. That is subtle politics right there. And that's the difference between Vane and the Senate. Ahem. Also, Formosan, it is a common thing in real life, too. Yeah, that's why I love FF12. I mean, I like this game. I enjoy the combat. I enjoy the setting. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the voice acting. I enjoy the dialogue. But I love the politics. I love it. This is Game of Thrones minus all the stuff I don't like about Game of Thrones. She grouped with a higher level character, Psychotic, to carry her here. But no, this is actually a vision. Remember, we're going the other direction. We're going that way, not that way. Although, ironically, we're actually going south.
So, it was the Dawn Shard that brought down the Imperial fleet.
See? Vision.
You know your stuff.
Destructive power of such force. I've seen it once before.
Yes, he has.
You know of what I speak.
Nabudis.
The capital of Old Nebradia, Lord Rassler's fatherland.
I hate to really keep this parallel going, but basically the Leviathan was just taken out by the equivalent of a massive nuclear blast. Not tactical nuclear missiles or whatever. I'm talking like a big old bomb. You know, a dirty bomb, for that matter. Just wiped out the 8th Fleet. What happened at Nabudis was worse because that was the equivalent of a massive, dirty atomic weapon being detonated in the middle of a city, in the middle of a kingdom. And the whole of the kingdom basically stopped existing because of it. It was bad. And for those of you who know your nuclear science, you know the difference between a surface detonation and an aerial detonation. In fact, in just about every circumstance where nuclear strikes were planned in real life, obviously it didn't actually happen for the most part, those were going to be aerial detonations, detonating above the ground, basically. Because when you detonate a nuke on the surface, things are really, really bad. So that was a surface detonation in the middle of a crowded in the middle of a capital city, in the middle of a crowded kingdom. There's a reason Nabudis is not a kingdom anymore.
At the time of the invasion, a division of Imperials entered the city. There was a mighty explosion. Friend and foe died alike.
Yeah.
Something was there. One of the Dynast King's relics. The Midlight Shard was in Nebradia.
More Nethicite. Well, no wonder they invaded.
That ridiculous war. The trap at the treaty signing. All this because Vayne wanted power.
And no, I'm not obviously progressive. I do too,
Must
Aguirre.
not be allowed to claim
Seeking
the
Power is my
Nethicite.
favorite song in this game.
The Empire must never hold it.
Oh, they already do. The Dusk Shard? Most likely the Midlight Shard, too. Besides, can't they manufacture Nethicite now?
Very well. Then the path set before us is clear. We'll use the Dawn Shard to fight them. Dalmasca does not forget kindness, nor ill deed done. With sword in hand, she aids her allies. Sword in hand, she lays to rest her foes. This Nethicite I hold must be my sword. I will avenge those who have died. And
Yeah,
the
Nabudis is
will know remorse.
Nabudis is the second highest level zone in the game, I believe. Feel free to correct me on that. But I think the only thing higher is the Subterra of Pharos.
You even know how to use it?
The Garif may know. The Garif people live by the old ways. Magicite lore is a part of their culture. They may hear it. The cry of the Nethicite's power. Whispers of the stone's menace.
It is...
Dangerous though it be, what we need now is power.
It's inverted,
declare Dalmasca
Aguirre.
free without them.
Hang on, I'll pause so you don't hear it miss. So, manufactured Nethicite, early manufactured Nethicite is weaker, but when they really perfect it, it is as strong, but inverted. Nethicite... okay, I don't know how to explain this properly. Basically, it's not as strong, to answer your question simply. I want to stress something else, by the way. These stones are like this big, right? These doom things of doom. So the crystal that these things are made from is about the size of my room. Yeah, Vaughn actually asked an intelligent question. I got to be honest, Atma. I actually remembered it. I got to be completely blunt. I'm pretty sure that her actual plan is to walk into Arcadia and detonate the damn thing if she knew how to use it. I'm dead serious. I do actually think that was her goal here. She's... yeah, this is still the early part of her this is still the early part of her character arc, aka blinded by desire for revenge and being manipulated like a puppet by the Ocuria.
Means to defend our claim. The Empire would crush us. You must take me to meet with the Garif.
They live beyond Osman Plain.
Not exactly close.
Compensation, is that what you want?
Straight to the point, aren't we? I like that. Compensation. How about the ring?
This is brilliant. Balthier asks for her ring. That ring has no financial value. It is in fact her wedding ring from Rossler. He literally asks for it because he's curious just how obsessed, how far she's going Especially since he actually knows just how bad that obsession can be, since he saw it happen to his father. So this is literally a test of her willingness for how far she's willing to go with this, and his desire to prevent this kind of obsession from eating another person.
This? Isn't there something else?
No one's forcing you.
Yeah. Just, yeah. I like how she cringes at giving him that.
I'll give it back to you as soon as I find something more valuable.
Ironically, he keeps his word on that.
What do you mean something more valuable?
Hard to say. I'll know when I find it. What is it you want, Vaughn? What are you looking for?
Me? What am I looking for? I guess... Well, you know...
I have no idea. But that's okay. Most people, especially in real life, have no idea what they want. I wish Lurker was here right now. I'd make the Babylon 5 joke. And I don't know how many of my other viewers know the Babylon 5 series that much. I'll just go ahead and say it. So what do you want? What do you want?
The Gareth are said to dwell in Kirwan.
So they do. We'll need to head south, past the Giza Plains.
It is the rains now in Giza. The wadis will be swollen with the deluge. Passage may be difficult.
But those same waters may also lay open new routes to us.
Regardless, we must go south, yes?
First things first. You're eager to be on your way, I know. But we should see that we're prepared before setting out.
I made my resolve 2 years ago. I swore to overcome any hardship I may face.
Man cannot live by resolve alone, Princess.
So Dark Souls, aside from being ridiculously depressing... Well, okay, are you asking why it's depressing to me? Why it's a trigger for my depression? Or are you asking, like, why I don't really care for the gameplay that much? Like, help me out. Explain your question, sir! That I might answer it with words that I might be speaking. Sure, Shatma. I mean, I get the reference, but not everyone has seen Babylon 5 in my chat. FF14 Heaven Sword. Haven't played it yet. May never play it again because of some screwed up stuff I won't get into right now. I've already talked about it. Nothing new to add. What am I doing? Right, I know what I'm doing. Not for a bit. In fact, not for a while, actually. We won't find that out until we're going north towards Arcadia. On the Fawn Coast is when we find out about Balthier and all. What do you mean, progressive? If you don't mind my asking. I mean, FF12 is among my favorites. In fact, I think FF12 is my 6th favorite FF, if that answers your question. Agreed, Foo Dogs. Right up there with FF9 for the same general reason. Oops. There we go. Actually, yes, they did, Rory. I'm amazed you caught that. Fast food that I like. All of it! Oh, no, no. That's actually a lie. I'm actually really picky about fast food. I feel like I'm being nibbled to death by... Oh, what are they called? Earth creatures, small, big beak. And they go quack. Cats? Yes! I am being nibbled to death by cats. Yeah, I'm going for the katana. Grey Wolf, that's like straight where I'm going for. But yeah, I'm kind of picky about fast food. Basically, there's no specific restaurant I like or dislike. It's more like there's these 3 things I can eat in any given place. I can't eat at Arby's anymore. There's probably a little bit of personal desire for, you know, revenge or whatever there because of how badly they screwed me over. See you around, Psychotic. I hope so, Aguiar. We'll find out. I'm going for it either way. I also generally can't eat at Wendy's unless there's like one sandwich I can eat at Wendy's. I also am really picky when it comes to McDonald's and Burger King. I can eat the, oh, I can't think of the name of it all of a sudden. The weird sandwich that only comes out like once a year at McDonald's. What is that thing called? And the double Whopper with no sauce at Burger King. And that's basically it at both places. What is the name of that thing? Yeah, I'm surprised you remember that story, Progressive. I remember that story because I thought that was awesome. I was so happy to really... That's an awesome picture, Nethrazim. I was so happy to really reach out to that guy and make his day. That was just such... I enjoyed that, you know? That's why I got into that job. And then, well, anyways, moving on. Hey, Emily. I've not seen you in a while. How's Japan treating you? The McRib! That's it, Darsh. You figured it out. Oh, crap. We're about to die. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, we're about to die. Run! 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 Oh, God. No, don't use the Phoenix down. Just run. Just run. Just run. Just run! Stop! No, just run! God! Okay. Okay. In answer... Who asked that? Nicholas asked that. Really, Deutsch? Really, dude? You need to, like, change your name to Purple or something so I know it's you. Anyways, what was I saying? Right, the From Software's approach to storytelling. Now, let me make this very clear. I don't actually like it, per se, but I do like the variety of it. I like the fact that they do something different from what most other people do. I like having variety in my methods of storytelling, not just the stories themselves. So, from that perspective, I'm with it. But I'm not like, oh, I love it, it's the greatest thing ever. And I mentioned that because I know some people who have said that Dark Souls is one of the only real video games because it's the only game that actually does storytelling properly. And I can't agree with that statement. Sorry. I have done that, yes, Dark Monster. Not this playthrough, obviously. Curry and sushi, I hate you so much. I'm kidding, I'm happy for you. It's like 8 a.m. Jeez Louise. No wonder I haven't seen you around lately. Let's just speed this up a bit. This thing has lots of defense and I don't feel like doing anything to deal with it. Honestly, the message of Dark Souls for me is very simple. No matter what you do, everything's bad. There is no happy ending. There's no happy journey. There's no anything whatsoever. Everything is bad forever. Of course, that's just my interpretation of it, and I have heard other people disagree with that, and that is one of the reasons why I do think it is nice to have that kind of variety in storytelling, as previously mentioned. Honestly, the person who was having issues with that, in response to Netherzim's comment, is not someone who I would take seriously, and that's the nicest way I can put that. Oh, by the way, Emily, I have found out recently that there is now sake-flavored Kit Kats in Japan, which I gotta say just sounds so gross. I'm not sure why anyone would like that, but, you know, I thought I'd mention it, because, you know... If that's your thing, I am not interested in judging. God, that just sounds so gross to me. Yes, I would, Nicolas. I would also like a proper remake, but if we're doing proper remakes of the FF series, can we please go back to the ones that need them? Like 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. You could stop there. 9 could serve to have a proper remake, but it doesn't really need one, in my opinion. It is aged quite well. I am boo. Really, Deutsch? Okay, I may be a complete idiot, but could you explain why? I mean, you can whisper it to me if you want, but that does not compute. Wasabi chocolate bars. I want to try green tea Kit Kats. Those actually sound good to me. Well, I'm not saying I would say no to a proper remake. Emphasis. Proper remake of FF9. But I just don't think it needs it. I think that, you know, previous games need it. Can we get our proper remix of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8? Or excuse me, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We already had 4. My bad, my bad. FF13 HD! It's just FF13. There's literally no changes. I'm kind of fighting my way south, by the way, in case you guys are wondering, because I'm not really confident in my level at this point in time, so forgive me for the slowdown here. Here, I'll start doing this during battles. Why would we need an HD version of FF3 if we already have a proper remake of FF3? I don't know what I think about the caps lock, Nicolas, but, oh, hey. Alligator. I think it does actually fit in rather nicely with the overall theme of FF12, which is exactly what you said. I don't think I actually have anything else to add to that, in all honesty. That theme, which is so accurately described via 3 different characters, Ash, Vaughn, and Gabron, is the kind of thing that is suited nicely by that gameplay choice. You have to pick a class, and you're stuck with it at the end. No, if they ever do a proper remake of FF13, it'll be on the freaking holodeck. And I'd probably play that. As long as I could reprogram it just a little bit. Just tweak the story a bit. Yeah, I know, weird, isn't it, Nicolas? But it's true. He did. Right at the end, at the top of the Pharos Lighthouse. You know, Aguirre, I gotta be honest, if they ever did a proper remake of FF12, my #1 request would be for them to finish the damn story. You know, all the stuff that was, you know, that they ran out of time to do. That's what I really want. So adding in new stuff would be nice, but that's a pipe dream. I would rather they add in the stuff they didn't get to add in first. You know what I mean? Sleep, Darkrise. Give in. Give in to the fact that life is meaningless. And there is no point in survival. Revenant Wings can go screw itself, and no, it didn't finish the story. Didn't even continue the story. It didn't have anything to do with the story. Revenant Wings, I spit on it. Ugh. I also have someone on Skype messaging me, so I'm gonna figure out who that is. FF12 is a gorgeous setting, I will say. I mean that sincerely. It really is. There's a lot of good stuff. Honestly, I love... I know I already said that the politics is my favorite part of FF12, and I meant that. But in addition to that, this setting would probably be my number 2 thing that I love about FF12, with characters being number 3. Okay, so you just get on that. Hang on, let me mute Skype so you guys stop hearing that. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. The FF games aren't connected. They shouldn't be connected. Okay. When I was younger, I had actually come up with a way that the FF games were connected. The hunts are pretty far up there, Nicholas. I love the hunts. But the hunts are part of the setting. So much of what I enjoy about the hunts in FF12 is they add to the flavor of the setting and the world. You know? Anyways. So, yeah. The connection. The FF games were never designed to be connected. The first FF game that was designed to be connected to another was FF10-2 to FF10. Right? That was the first time there was actually a deliberate connection between an FF game and another FF game. Now, in more recent years, they have actually gone back and said, well, hang on, we can make all that stuff be connected. And so they have actually made an effort to try and basically artificially tag on connections. I got it, Deutsch. It's your decision. I'm going to respect it one way or another. I'm also going to keep calling you Deutsch. It's stuck in my head. I haven't hard enough time remembering names as is. But anyway, so yeah, the FF series was never designed to be connected, and in more recent years, they've been kind of artificially trying to connect them together, and doing so kind of poorly. And so, for example, FF10 connecting to FF10-2 fits, and then FF10-2 connecting to FF7 doesn't. FF1 connecting to FF2 kind of fits, FF2 connecting to FF4 doesn't, and so forth and so on. Like I said, when I was younger, I had a way to connect all the FFs together, and if I could be blunt, in my opinion, it was a method that worked a lot better than anything they've actually done. But, like I said, with my older age, I look back and I say, well, I don't actually want them to be connected now, because I think they sit better on their own. Also, and perhaps more to the point, they, how do I put this? If we were to connect the FFs, then we would need to connect them, like we would need to basically rewrite them. Go back, remake the games again in some cases, in the case of 1 through 4, and in so doing actually rewrite the stories so that they are actually connected. Now, that being said, all the FF games do exist within the same setting. This is proven as of this point in time. This is not something that's just me making it up or whatever. The FF games are actually deliberately connected, because there's only one Gilgamesh in the entire FF series. It's the same guy in each of the FFs, and thanks to Dissidia Duodecim, we know that the Dissidia series is also canon. And the Dissidia series also connects to the rest of FF, and again, it's mostly thanks to Gilgamesh. And I'm okay with that level of connection, because that level of connection is basically there for fun, rather than trying to tie in the plots of the games together. Oh, you're right, Nicholas. I'm sorry, you are correct. There are actually 2 Gilgameshes. I apologize. He is right. But yeah. Hang on. Go herbs, eye drops, phoenix down, rather than cure. Let's save your mana for now and do that. Although I'd really... hang on. I need more gambits. I need more gambits so badly. Yeah, that's great. By the way, it would not be out of line for Gilgamesh, the one dimension-hopping Gilgamesh, to be in Kingdom Hearts, and in so doing, connect FF proper to Kingdom Hearts. And by the way, I think that would be awesome. And I know I am not the only person to think that. Okay, so I need this. Finally. Frickin' finally. I've been trying to get to that for forever. And I need gambits. I need so many gambits. Holy moly. Super Schmeiser. Is that actually your account, Deutsch, or is that like a friend of yours or whatever? Because if it's a friend of yours, I'm not modding that account. I am quite picky about my mods. Sorry, but yeah. Should I mod that account? Debate. Or should I remove Deutsch's mod privileges forever? I should pull a Diravello. I'll hand Deutsch a gun and say there must be some punishment for this failure, yeah? I don't know how to do his accent, so I'm not even trying. Yes, both ear. Favorite job in 12? Monk. How would Kefka fit? Beautifully. I'm serious. Kefka would be not the perfect fit from Final Fantasy into Kingdom Hearts, but he would be a very good fit into Kingdom Hearts, in my opinion. And I mean that sincerely. Kefka is in virtually every presentation of himself, especially in the Dissidias that I just mentioned. Someone who is a completely broken individual. In fact, I believe word for word they say that he is someone whose heart was so completely broken by his experiences that he tried to do anything he could to go on, to fill his empty heart. And it didn't work, and so Kefka was just a broken individual as a result of that, and I think that would work perfectly in Kingdom Hearts. By the way, hi, thank you, 10232. I'm not sure how to say that. I'll just say TY. And yeah, I don't think anybody is really a huge fan of Vaughn, other than Deutsch, of course. Deutsch loves Vaughn. He's got a really big thing for painting on abs. Don't judge. I mean, you can judge if you want to, but yeah, let's go up here. But seriously, the number of FF characters that would fit in Kingdom Hearts is actually quite large. Virtually everyone in FF9 would fit. Virtually everyone. Freya would fit, Vivi would fit, Amarant would fit, Steiner would fit, you know, Kuja would fit, Garland would fit, Kefka would fit, Cecil would fit, Kane would fit, Golbez would fit. A lot of FF characters, especially of the classic 3, would fit quite well into Kingdom Hearts, in my opinion. Do I have enough for... No, I don't. Kuena would absolutely fit. Fun fact, guys. Did you know that Kuena's... Okay, so you know how they always make a big joke in the English version about how we don't know what gender Kuena is? Would you believe that's something that was added for the English version? Now, in the Japanese version, they use a specific form of the pronoun, which doesn't indicate gender, so it's possible that that's their method of the same joke. But that was never... that was completely de-emphasized. It was like a non-issue. That just deliberately portraying it as if Kuena and his whole species doesn't have a gender. It wasn't until the English translation, which again, as I point out, FF9 was the first properly localized Final Fantasy game, that they added that in just for the flavor. And I just mentioned that because the English translation of FF9 is freaking amazing. But anyways. Hey, look! Gambits! Oh my god. Okay. Let's start getting some stuff here, shall we? So we got Phoenix down. We want golden needles. Echo herbs. Alarm clocks. And let's go Chronos tier. I did too, Marley. Yes, we do, Nicholas. We all do. So, what should I eat for dinner tonight, guys? What do you think? My fate is in your capable hands. Wait, hang on. So I did Chronos Tears and Alarm Clocks. So I also want Handkerchief. And... I already have Eye Drops, I already have Echo Herbs. I can eat dirt if you want to, Salty. You're going to have to donate for that, though. Do I already have gold needles? Yes, I do. Let's go ahead and do Phoenix Downs. Oh, I already have Phoenix Downs. Let's do High Potions. Do you have any abilities that I can use? What class are you? What class is he? He is a knight. Okay, so what abilities does a knight have? He'll be the emergency health. Okay, Enigma. Least favorite class in 12? Ulan, because it doesn't have jump! What kind of spear user doesn't have jump? Honestly. Okay, does he not have any abilities? Oh, he really doesn't. Okay, whatever. So let's go back to this being Cura, actually. Actually, no. Let's make that be Cure. We'll make this be Cura. Already got Raise. Actually, honestly, we're just going to leave that be Phoenix Downs. Yeah, no jump, Marley. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's insane. Actually, why don't we do... We already... Okay, so we'll do that. And that. And this will be the emergency. There we go. Apparently Breaker is even more annoying. I actually haven't really played with Breaker, so I can't say anything about that. Do I have Dispel? Looks like I don't. Alright. Okay. New stuff set up. Alright, let's get ourselves a better katana, shall we? See you around, Marley. So, I hope you guys don't think less of me, but I decided to go ahead and do an experiment recently. I Google image searched Final Fantasy sexy. The reason I was doing so was I was curious which individuals would be present. The very first few image results were all lightning. There were a couple Tifas, there were a bunch of Vanilles, for some freaking reason, and a few Sarahs, again from FF13. And I was really confused by that. Oh, and one Sephiroth, too. Now, the reason I did that was because I was really curious of a phenomenon I've noticed. I feel like FF13 is actually more popular amongst people who aren't FF fans. And I mean that sincerely. I get the feeling that the reason there's so much exposure for FF13 in the modern amongst people is because it's not gamers and not FF fans who like FF13, but people who haven't actually tried the other FFs to really know the difference, and they're the kind of people who are that kind of audience. And I don't have a nicer way to say that. Okay, what the hell? His gambit is like super wrong. Oh, his gambit is super wrong. Whoops. No, you're emergency status, dude. There we go. I need to go get telekinesis because I can't hit that stupid thing. But yeah, I found that very odd. And that's why I did that, was to see that. Is there no... Do they not drop the katana in the international version? Because I should have one right now. You misunderstand me, Deutsch. I wasn't trying to get across the idea that only someone who doesn't like a real FF would like FF13. I like FF13. Yes, I said it. It is still a net positive for me. Barely. Barely. But it is still a net positive for me. Okay, this is... But the point I'm trying to make is that I've wondered why does FF13 has been so much more popular than, if I could be blunt, it deserves to be. And I feel, and that is my conclusion. That is the reason why I feel that might be. I swear that these werewolves dropped it. In fact, I know for a fact these werewolves drop it in the normal version. It's just... I know there's one other area I can fight. Maybe there's different enemies there or something. Because I specifically farmed these to get this, even when I was playing this without cheats. Even without the they drop their whole inventory cheat going on. One thing I was glad for is there wasn't any hentai in my image search. It was just, you know, images of the characters from the games and that. And a couple of cosplays. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, Aguirre. I have a weird question for you guys. And there's no judgment in this question, okay? I want to make that clear. No judgment. Oh, that's true, Lurker. I might have had safe search. Anyways, no judgment in this question. How many of you can remember the last game that you cared about the graphics quality? Now, I stress my word choice. I don't mean graphics aesthetics. I don't mean you think it looks nice. I mean specifically if you really felt the graphics themselves were of high quality. I'm gonna die. I can't. deal with this with the zoo here. Now I can name the exact game, the last game that I remember I really cared about the quality of graphics in. I can even name the year. Also, no lurker. I think I'd rather not. Oh, crap. Frickin' zoos. Okay. I haven't saved in a bit, so we're gonna do that. Oh god, Emily. I'm so sorry. I hope you never see the Castlevania one. You've already found the Silent Hill one. I hope you never see the Big Boss one from Metal Gear Solid, too. Damn it, Deutsch, we always knew you were a shallow, terrible, horrible human being. Okay, that way. I see where I'm going. Yes, there's a Big Boss pachinko machine. I don't know if it's actually out yet, but they're making one. Okay, this is not a fight we should be fighting. Just imagine the legacy of Big Boss in a pachinko machine. There's such an irony there. Such a horrific, beautiful irony. Would anyone like to guess the last game I actually enjoyed the graphic, like I cared about the graphics quality in? Can anyone guess? There it is. Oh god, I don't have the thing for it. Oblivion is close. I thought it was Oblivion, then I realized there's actually a more recent game. One other game. Oblivion is the second to last game where I cared about the graphics quality in. No, the most recent game, at least I think it's more recent than Oblivion, that I cared about the graphics quality in is a game called Lord of the Rings Online. It's right there and it's 50 LP. Well, I got the sword I wanted. Now I just need to get 50 LP to equip the damn thing. Anyways, but yeah, Lord of the Rings Online. And for those of you who weren't really big on gaming in the last decade or so, and I know this is not, I imagine most of you are in the same boat as me. Well, okay, I'm saying this wrong. Let's start over. Oh, Oblivion was 2006? Okay. I guess Oblivion actually was the most recent game I cared about the graphics of then. Anyways, because Lotro came out in 2005. Or is it 2007? Oh, that's right. Lotro was 2007. Okay, well, whatever. Anyways, I'm trying to make a point here. And that point is, I don't give a damn about graphics anymore. I haven't since Lotro. But I was already on the downswing from that. See, what I mean by this is, in about early and mid-2000s, there was a really big push, with unlimited power, Nicholas, there was a really big push towards graphics, and all the major advertising and all the marketing was all centered around, here's this new game coming out, and here's its graphics. Here's this thing coming out, and here's its graphics. Look at how amazing its graphics looks. Yada, yada, yada. Now I know what you're saying. How is that different from nowadays? Trust me when I say it is different. Back in, again, early and mid 2000s, in some cases that was the only selling point of a game, was the fact that there were nice graphics. And that was it. That was the only selling point. Graphics. And it was a little ridiculous. It was a little bit over the top. And so slowly, bit by bit, from about 2001 to 2007, I just cared less and less and less and less about graphics because I just got tired of it. I got tired of seeing more and more emphasis put on it when I just didn't care that much. It's not like I don't enjoy good graphics. I think FF13 is as pretty as the next guy. But I don't care, if you know what I mean. It's like, okay, that's there, it's pretty. How about the quality of the game? And again, I am a defender of FF13. I think there's actually some genuinely good stuff in FF13. But the graphics is not something I list in that. You follow? And somewhere along the line, graphical aesthetics became more important to me than graphical quality. And again, I want to stress the difference between those two things. Graphical aesthetics is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Graphical quality is the latest Tomb Raider, which came out, which actually has a separate physics engine just for her hair. That's not a joke, by the way. That's graphic quality. But, like I said, somewhere along the line, in the early to mid-2000s, I just stopped caring. Now, I bring all this up because of what someone said with regards to FF13. It's like, okay, here's FF13. It's very shiny, it has high fidelity, it did have very high quality graphics. I don't remember enjoying the aesthetics of FF13's graphics. Like, at all, really. I remember it being there, and I remember being like, well, that's pretty nice. Yes, I'm not kidding, Deutsch. That is legitimately a thing. And again, I don't want to say it's necessarily a negative. It's only a negative for me if it gets to the point where graphics are being emphasized in the absence of other things. Like if more time is spent on the graphics than the gameplay, or the story, or, you know, the meat. Look, to go back to what we were saying earlier, you remember how I mentioned how they touched up McDonald's food and presented it to people, and those people enjoyed it more? Now, yes, they were being pretentious dicks about that. But the legitimate argument could be made that there is a thing to be said for presentation. And you know what graphics are when it comes to video games? Graphics quality is presentation. And it does matter. But it's not the meat. It's not the core. For me, it's not the core of the game. I want a good game. I want a good game underneath that presentation. And if you could give me a game like Undertale, that is a ton of incredible core gameplay and story, which is phenomenal meat. That is like sheer gold. That's diamond. That's better than anything. That's magicite or Pirial. But would I be opposed to Undertale having, you know, really awesome fancy graphics? No, as long as it didn't take away from Undertale. But I will call Undertale a better game than FF13 10 times out of 10 because of the meat. Even though FF13 is unquestionably better looking. Even aesthetically speaking. Well, good news, guys. Not only do I have this katana, I have a lot of them now. You know, actually, Formosan, that's a great parallel. Anyone out there ever seen what a burger actually looks like that they put on their adverts? My favorite is Burger King because that's one I've actually seen in real life. I've seen the literal physical burger that they photographed to put on the adverts for Burger King. And it's this disgusting, terrible cardboard painted thing that's touched up to look amazing, but if you were to actually take a bite out of it, would be incredibly disgusting and also not actually a burger. That's a great comparison, Formosan. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a hamburger. Next, I'm going to visit Frankfurt. I am a Frankfurter. Yeah, it was really gross, Rory. Holy crap. I'm sure most of you even know what I'm talking about. Most people know they're dollied up. But again, I use Burger King as the example because I saw it in person. It was so gross. So somebody asked me, like, if I could be put into Final Fantasy. Do you mind clarifying that question a bit? Because I don't quite get what you mean. Favorite scene in 13 is when Zaz commits suicide, and I don't care what you say, I think he did it for real in my head. I know that sounds morbid and terrible, but trust me, that scene was powerful and amazing and emotional, and he should have actually gone through with it. I agree as well, Formosan. That's one of the reasons why I make it a point to say that some games I do actually think do need proper remakes because of graphics in addition to UE and whatnot. You know, my go-to example of that is Fallout 1 and 2. I can't go back to Fallout 1 and 2. I don't like playing them. The UE and the graphics are so old and so bad that I don't enjoy them anymore. I can't. They're too old for me. And in fact, I actually have a more severe example now, and that is the original XCOM. You know, the original XCOM, the one on DOS. That game is terrible to go back to, for me. Yeah, no kidding, Pyromancer. No kidding, it did. God. And yes, they did, Schmidolf, that is correct. And again, paint, and not actually using meat, and not actually using bread. Sure, Nicholas, why not? Part of the reason I bring up the graphics thing, too, I have had the complaint leveled at me. I've received some flack for my opinions on FF13. I have, because I am pretty negative about it, and I am not ashamed of that fact. Hey, Jolta. But, one of the complaints that one of the comments that was leveled at me was, if FF13 came out in SNES era graphics, you would like it better. So I actually thought about that, legitimately. And like, tried to imagine what it would look like in my head. And I said, no, I wouldn't. That is not true. Because the dialogue would remain the same, the meat, the story, all of that would remain exactly the same. And that's my grief with FF13. Most of my grief with FF13. So no, I don't think it's just some sort of nostalgia goggles. I don't think it's some sort of elitism or pretentiousm. And yeah. The end, I should say. Honestly, Netherzim, I had some troubles going back to the original StarCraft 2 for the lore run. I think I would probably try to get involved in the story, but it would depend on the Final Fantasy. It would depend on which FF it was. For example, in FF10, everything is misery and torment, so I'm not sure I would want to interact with that story. But if I was getting involved in FF6, I would absolutely want to get involved in that story. Or 4, or 5, or 9, or 7. Possibly 8, I'd have to think about that one. You know what? That's actually a valid point, Enigma. I agree with you. Has he gotten... Nope, he's at 28. It's one of the reasons... It's actually funny. Some people asked back in the day why I never did a rumination on FF13, and the reason was the same reason I don't like talking about politics on my show. I'm dead serious. It was such a contentious game. If I spoke positively about FF13, I got bashed for it. And people would argue about it, and yell about it, and scream about it. If I spoke negatively about FF13, I would get bashed for it, and people would argue, and scream, and yell about it. FF13 was such a contentious title that it basically qualified under my no politics rule. In other words, my no controversial topics rule. And, yeah, it wasn't until the marathon that I was willing to even entertain the idea of doing something about FF13. No, I did not, Nicholas. Oh my god! Hi, J1, by the way. $13.2 is redacted. Yeah, I am not the level I need to be. Holy crap. Yes, I have read Ender's Game. I've even watched Ender's Game, but I've also read it. Come on. There we go. Formosan, because Blizzard games are very popular, and it is very popular to bash things that are very popular. So... bashing Blizzard games is very popular. That's it. For me, my favorite Zelda is exactly the same as you, Celestia. Although I think Twilight Princess takes it in the end, but it's Twilight Princess and then LTTP for me. Although, I will admit Four Swords Adventures and Link Between Worlds and Wind Waker are all kind of battling it out for the number 3 slot up there. Holy crap. Thank you, Salty. I appreciate it. Actually, I do, Pyro. Okay, guys, we did it. We beat them all. Thank you, Darker. I appreciate the show of solidarity there. Oh my god, and he still doesn't have enough LP. Yeah, StarCraft 2 is another game that I have been bashed for my opinion on it. And I have heard it very, 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 very negatively talked about and shrugged. And Force Awakens is another one. I have had people call me out on being an idiot for actually liking Force Awakens as much as I do. I don't even know how to answer that question, Aguirre. I mean, gameplay-wise, the two are monstrously different. They also occur at completely different story points, and... yeah, there's... I mean... I don't even understand. That's like asking me, so Arsh, what's the difference between Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks? It's like, what? They're different games. I don't know how to answer that. You would be surprised how many people seem to disagree, Nicholas. One of the things I had to learn, and I'm still learning to an extent with regards to doing this show and whatnot, is thickening up my skin so that the comments of people who call me idiot, fag, and all sorts of other wonderful names that I will not repeat here, and just not letting them get under my skin and not taking those comments to heart, because I get them all the time, especially nowadays. At least once a day now I will get at least one comment which I either have to delete or Google has deleted for me along those lines. Welcome to the internet and all that. I will say I usually get about 4 to 5 comments that are much more positive for every comment that I get that is negative. I should go, Salty. What do I prefer about them? Link to the Past had a stronger story. Link Between Worlds had stronger gameplay. It's probably the best way I could summarize it in just a single sentence. I still haven't played Typo 0. A level. What are we at? Ugh, 9 more. Yeah, it's actually human nature to do that. And I mean that sincerely. This is actually an aspect of psychology. Again, 100% serious. If 100 people tell you, hey, I liked your show, and one person says, oh god, your show is terrible, and I hated it, and you're so stupid and terrible, your mind is more inclined to remember that one person than the other 100. And it's something I fight against constantly, because I already have a low self-esteem from when I was younger, basically. So, yeah. Galoof is... Why would Galoof be a dragoon? Come on. We all knew Galoof is actually an awesome. That's what his class is called. Why is it doing that? So the Gambit has been really confusing me. He keeps changing targets, and he really shouldn't be. Let's do this. Actually, Enigma, I got your message, and I would like to say, one of the things I like most is when people disagree with me reasonably. I mean that sincerely. Shadow over there thinks Twilight Princess is the worst Zelda game. And yet, he presented his argument in a reasonable manner, once I asked him to, and actually gave me reason to think about it. And he, now granted, I disagree with him completely. Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda. But he was willing and capable to actually sit down and say, I think this, ... I like that. Well, see, Nicolas, here, let me explain why this is a bug, okay? Let me explain this really quick, okay? So you see this right here? This is highest HP and lowest HP. So if I have it set to highest HP, I should be changing targets constantly, right? I hit one guy, but now he has more HP. So I hit this guy, and he has more HP. This is highest max HP. And as what the big O there says is my personal theory on it. In other words, that the three enemies all have the same max HP, and so the game doesn't know what to do with it and is constantly changing targets. And focus firing is very, very critically important to good DPS in FF12. Because it's very, very easy to spread your damage out too much in FF12 and get completely screwed over, as you've kind of seen happening to me, actually. So I'm going to set it to lowest HP, lowest current HP, in other words, and hope that that keeps me focus fired on a single target without constantly switching targets. By the way, Shadow, I gotta ask. Have you seen the Twitter argument between Neil deGrasse Tyson and some rapper guy? I'll share the story for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's pretty funny. Isn't it, Deutsch? Oh my god, it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh my god. Guys, y'all know all the pictures from space are actually, you know, all controlled by NASA. Okay, Aguirre, so I bet at least one person who hasn't heard about this. This is a bit of paraphrasing. So there was some guy, I don't even know his name and I don't care, who was like, yo, okay, so there's no proof that the Earth is round. I want to take a moment and pause and say that the Earth being round was proven in the BC era. And that you could go to someone with zero technology, other than like the access to the ocean, not even that really, and prove to them that the Earth is round. But let's just ignore that for a moment. So, idiot over here was like, there's no proof. It's all a conspiracy. Because all of the images of all the people who've been to space are all from NASA. So clearly, the only person who could prove, the only people who could prove that the Earth is round are NASA, and they're all just lying about it. They're all just this big conspiracy trying to make us think that the Earth is round when we all when we don't really know about it. And I got it. So let me put it to you this way: if I go on top of a mountain 60 miles outside of New York City, why is it I can see the city skyline? I shouldn't be able to see it from there. I shouldn't be able to see the city skyline. Duh! It's so obvious that the Earth is flat. Neil deGrasse Tyson ripped him apart. As well he should have. I'm not even going to bother giving the counter arguments. It's like arguing with someone that water's... like arguing against someone who's saying that water's dry. This is something that is so well established, it's ridiculous. You know what made me sad, though? That guy makes more money in a day than I make in a year. Wait, water is dry? Oh my god, mind blown! Mind blown! Do you mean in lore, Nicholas? Or do you mean like gameplay? Because, I mean, all the gameplay stuff's fairly evident. I don't know what to say about that. Oh my god, Pyro, it's true! So, I got another one for you. I know this is kind of breaking my politics rule, but I think this is acceptable. So, some of you, I know who Donald Trump is. Everyone in the States probably knows who Donald Trump is, because it's hard to avoid him right now. So, yeah. He recently had a thing where he was talking about how his whole life had been a no. And everything, how he had to crawl himself up from the gutter, and yada yada yada. And, and his father gave him, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, a mere $1 million loan to make it on his own. Now, he was called out on that. A small loan, thank you, that's how I phrased it. A small loan of $1 million. 2 points of note really quick. First of all, back when I was in high school, I did an entire project, I've talked about this before, I did a whole project on how I could, like the logistics of surviving for the rest of my life on $1 million. $1 million, bam, 80 years, done. $1 million would last me 80 years comfortably, and give me room to grow so I could take care of my family as well. A small loan of $1 million, just a little perspective there. And so he was called out on this. And he said, well, yeah, compared to the kind of money I have right now, $1 million is nothing. $1 million is garbage. So, Stephen Colbert, who I am actually a huge fan of, I would like to say, was doing a take on this and said, Donald Trump, you look like $1 million. And then he had a check. I don't know what's come of this, but he had a check for a charity in the Manhattan area, where Trump was talking about, for $1 million. All Trump would have to come do is sign it to prove that what he said he meant. I don't know if he actually did that or not. Hey, Rojas. What's up? The only thing that would make Trump not funny is if he won. And you notice my smile just went away when I said that. Okay, so Nicholas has a weird question for me. And I'm not sure how to answer this question, so we're going to do our best. He wants me to look over all of these and say, you know, oh, Dissidia, I'd love to do that, Nicholas, but let's not do that today. I don't really have a lot of things to say about most of these classes. For example, Knight is fairly basic. Knight is the you rely on gear class. So at that point, you're not managing MP or abilities or trying to set up complicated gambits. You are, however, managing your equipment, setting yourself up so that when you go into battle, you have the right accessories, you have the right weapons for the right situation, yada, yada, yada. Red Mage is someone who can still use, is basically about as useful as usual, which I don't admittedly really have a lot else to say about, other than the fact that it is the middle of the board. It's you want to have an average character. I will say this is probably one of the least favorite classes to my knowledge in FF12 International because of the fact that it will never excel. And this is a game that, that helps you for excelling. Machinist. I don't like this class, if I'm being honest. I don't like guns. I don't like ranged weapons in general in FF12, so I try to avoid those. It is useful, but overall I don't really think anything about it really is complimentary. It also feels quite a bit like the Knight does, just a ranged Knight. Ulan can't jump and therefore is terrible. White Mage is probably the most useful, valuable class in the entire game, because in addition to the fact that they have the heals, they also have the buffs, and buffs are really, really, really useful for all the hunts in the endgame. So I would say White Mage is the only class of these I would consider actually mandatory. It is almost a little bit too useful. Hunter is interesting because it's actually not quite what you'd think from most games that have something like a Hunter. It is in fact basically the equivalent of the Ninja from FF5. So up there with quick attack weapons and weapons that do additional magic damage, that kind of a thing. Also, ironically enough, Samurai is the same thing. Now, Samurai is interesting, because Samurai is like Knight, except it relies on your magic power, not your attack power. So, it's a nice thing to put on when you want that kind of a mage attacker. And, of course, a variety in your weapons. Black Mage is probably the best DPS class to my knowledge in this one, can do ridiculous damage at high levels because of the damage cap being removed, and therefore is arguably the second most useful class of the classes so far. Archer is actually, again, I don't really have anything to add to this other than that I added the Machinist. Again, range class, blah, blah, blah. Breaker, believe it or not, I actually like the idea of Breaker because I'm one of those guys who liked playing Lightning Spect sorceresses in Diablo 2. In other words, I like super variance on my damage. So I like the fact that I might hit for 1 or I might hit for a bajillion. But at the same time, I will also freely admit from a purely gameplay perspective that is very unreliable and therefore not the most enjoyable thing in the world. Time Mage is actually a pretty nice class. Time Mage is kind of what Red Mage should be. A ranged class, well, a martial class that also has the ability to do several buffs and otherwise be useful to the party. Yeah, nothing else to add there. Monk is awesome. Monk, of course, has tons of DPS potential up front, looks cool, and is probably the best of the melee classes that I can think of, and that's my opinion on all of them. Oh, and I can finally do the awesome thing. So, let's do that. So yeah, this is going to up our damage on Vaughn considerably, because now I have a real weapon. And that's what this entire excursion has been to do. I didn't choose Nicholas. The chat voted for my classes. In fact, the setup we have here is Samurai, Machinist, Time Mage, Knight, White Mage, and Hunter. I'm a little glad that I got a White Mage at all, because for a while there it was looking like I wasn't going to. I have Celestial. Interesting plot. Nice, Pyro. Now, if you've ever played a Thrown Weapons Barbarian, well, you'll notice my damage has almost doubled here, so yeah, I'm going to say that that's going to be a little helpful, Enigma. No, I have not, Little Billy. Although I have heard that apparently Danny DeVito is a thing with that, and that's about all I know. $1 million, billion, trillion dollars. A small loan, Nicolas. No, Rojas. Some of the same developers, but otherwise basically unconnected. Unless it actually is connected, that's debatable, but for the most part, it's a separate series. I talk about that during the Kingdom Hearts lore run. Going live in about 2 weeks, I want to say. I might challenge you on that, Pyro. But if you're not counting me, then I totally, yeah. Diablo 3, ready for a very controversial opinion? In my opinion, Diablo 3 is a genuinely excellent game. I mean that sincerely. Yes, even the story. Go ahead. Make fun. I've heard it a dozen times. Remember, it's very popular to bash Blizzard games. Whoops. No, I have not. The Simple. What I used to do, Pyro, is I used to start over again and go through the 3 difficulties, and then start over again and go through the 3 difficulties, etc. That was my first MMO, if you will. Wow. He set... Quick, Shadow, kill Agior! Quick! Which is funny, because Diablo 2 was immediately replaced by Warcraft 3 as my first MMO. I shouldn't say first, but you know what I mean. Salty Panda, I actually am a kitten disguised as a man. No, that doesn't make me a furry. That's a man disguised as a kitten. It's a difference. Nicolas, are you one of my patrons? And I know that sounds like a horrible question to ask, but I know that I have a lot of viewers who aren't. So... yeah. Agier is a guy, by the way, Shadow. I believe it's Quad 9, Enigma. You're not, okay. Nicolas, what you can do to request that is to convince one of my patrons to request it as their one request. Now that the floodgates are currently open. Yeah, no kidding, Pyro. Bit of a shame that we can't just type in, you know, pacha. Of course, I played a lot off of Battle.net too, so it's not like I even have a register for a lot of that playtime. Wow, that's funny. Ironically, Nicolas, the minimum amount is $1 a month. It's a subscription, not a donation. But yeah, the minimum amount is $1. If you do less than $1, the way I have it set up, it won't qualify you as one of the patrons, because it actually categorizes them by the amount donated, or by the amount patroned up, or whatever. Also, if you sign up to be a patron, it doesn't matter until the payment actually goes through. In other words, if you were to, for example, right now to go and say, I'll be your patron, that won't show up on the thing I'm using to determine who my patrons are until some money actually goes from you to me, which happens once a month, obviously. Subscription thing, like I said. Yes, Formosan, absolutely. In addition to the fact that it keeps things a little bit varied and makes things feel less generic, it's also a good way to try and stretch out and do your own thing. Even though you're not really doing your own thing, you're just labeling them different. It's a good way to get those creative juices flowing to make things different. For example, Dragon Age Origins is actually a good example of something that used different terms, even though they meant the same things, and then used those to vary up certain other things to be significantly different. Because there are several aspects of Dragon Age Origins that do not conform to standard fantasy. Welcome back, Shadow's Hands. Or Dwarves in Elder Scrolls, that's another great example. The Myrrh, all the Myrrh in Elder Scrolls. The meaning of life is to decide what life means for you and then to pursue it, or choose not to at your own leisure. That is the meaning of life. But life, what life means depends on the individual. Or to quote Chrono Trigger, all life begins with new and ends with new. This is my belief, at least for now. I'd say yes, Shadow. Velaquenta? Am I saying that right? Either way, I keep my own copy of the chat up, specifically so I can interact with people while I'm streaming. Okay. Hey, guess what? That leads to the Old Town, which will never be relevant for the story ever again. Yay! We'll go down there a couple more times, but its purpose in the story has been removed. I'd go with a new plushie, Nicolas. Killwallas are okay, but mountains are nice. I said that wrong. I should have said mountains are nice, but news are better. There you go. That's a better way to say that. I have no proof that I am a dwarf. I cannot do the accent, and I do not have a beard. And, I mean, the only person who feats those qualifications is Varric in Dragon Age. And, I mean, we all know he's not a dwarf, right? Right? Little Billy, absolutely. Without question, hesitation, or anything whatsoever. I would, however, stab her to death. Immediately afterwards. Don't forget the 90s game thing, Gear. Can't forget that. So that I could take power in her stead, Little Billy. She's a lot easier to kill than Vol'jin. I mean, holy crap, man. Honestly, Shadow, I think it's the latter. I have been one of those people who believes that, you know, some people are like, oh my god, people are so much stupider today than they used to be, and so much more horrible, and so much more violent, and so much more sexist, and all this stuff. I don't think that's true. I think people have always been people. I pronounced it right, awesome. I'm really bad with pronunciations, that's why I was worried. I think that people have always been people. And I think that the only thing that has changed in the more modern era is we are now more aware of other people who are being people. Like, you go back only 100 years, just 100 years, and most you would hear about people who are, you know, crazy or stupid or whatever would probably be within a region of wherever you live. Go back 200 years, and you'd be lucky to hear about that kind of thing outside your city. Now, I could hear about some guy in Russia who's crazy or stupid or whatever. And I could hear about that minutes after it happens. So I think people are just people and always have been people. Just my take on it. Is that something off of XII, Celestial? Is it Linné? Because that was my first thought. Okay, fair enough, Pyro. I can hear about it, but I usually do hear about it. Actually, within days, honestly. But still, days is still impressive. And that's for someone who isn't really actively trying to browse social media, because I don't do that. I usually keep my my ear to the ground for gaming news and whatnot, but for news about people being crazy or stupid, that's usually told to me third hand. No, we're not to Larsa yet. Almost. Wait. Why don't we have Larsa? We should have Larsa. Why don't we have Larsa? Am I the only one who think Larsa's voice is rather distinctly masculine? Like, genuine question. I get that he looks kind of feminine because he's young, but he sounds very much male to me, this voice actor. Rumination on the Resident Evil series? Okay, I will say this. Any series rumination is automatically less priority than any other thing else because it's a series. Also, furthermore, because of the fact that it takes much more time and therefore has to be in priority and yada 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 yada. Oh, that hurts. I went to the wrong place. Whatever. So, yeah, I'm not saying I would be opposed to a Resident Evil series rumination, but if you requested a game in the series, that'd be much higher priority. If that makes sense, which it probably doesn't. But there's only really one Shadow in this game. First game that made me do that? You're gonna laugh. Can you guess what it... Can anyone guess what the first game is that really blew me away, that I just thought was absolutely amazing? Can anyone think of what it is? General thoughts on Silent Hill 2 right now. I will admit that Silent Hill 2 is in many ways coffee for me, because I'm just not a fan of horror games that are deliberately horror games. However, Silent Hill 2 is probably one of the more quiet and subtle games as far as horror games that I've ever played, and yes, I have actually played it. It is also a great example of using your limitations for the sake of FF13. In order to advance the story, the fog is like #1 example of that. Past that, I do like the morphic nature of the town. Sassy Dog is correct. Super Mario Bros., the original, is the first game that made me go, this is so awesome. I had played games before Super Mario Bros., but Super Mario Bros. On the NES was the first game that just, oh god, I just wanted to play more of it. Everything else was just something to do to pass time. You know what I mean? But that was the first one that really got me. Space War. An example of a horror game that is not deliberately a horror game. Half-Life 2. Easy answer, just bam. Also, the Assassin's Creed series, especially the first 2 games. I can name a few others, but, you know, any of the Metroids that are story-focused, like Super Metroid or Metroid Prime. Dragon Age Origins is quite horrifying. I'm trying to think. There's actually quite a few, and a lot of games I actually really like. Several Castlevanias have been horrifying without being horror games. trying to think. There's a bunch. Yeah, the Portal series, both Portal 1 and 2. There's a lot of games that are horrifying without being horror games. I'm torn on that one, Jaywalk, because I think Revelations and 4 are tied for me. Why do you keep doing that, Shadow? Earthbound is pretty horrifying. FF6 is pretty horrifying. FF10 is damned horrifying. Ravenholm is definitely intended as horrifying, but Half-Life 2 is not a horror game. And most of the things that are horrifying about Half-Life 2, for me, are not Ravenholm. I talked about that when I did my Halloween look at last year. Flowey is actually more interesting of a character to me in basically every way, so I'd go with Flowey. Okay, so you guys want to hear something really horrible? You probably don't. KOTOR 2, there's another good horrifying game that isn't a horror game. Have I seen Spaceballs? What kind of question is that? What kind of question is that? I didn't say interesting, I said horrible. There's a difference. Yeah, I'm going the right way. Okay. So, you guys know that I have a bit of a, I guess, an amateur directing style thing. Like, I enjoy thinking about directorial style and presentation of angles and all that stuff that comes from directing, right? Yes, absolutely, Nicholas. So, I put together in my head, visually, an Undertale, I hesitate to call it a movie, probably more like a short movie or whatever. And the whole time I was going through, I realized that I wanted an extremely specific aesthetic for Chara. I wanted her to have that specific look that only a child can have, a very innocent, lighthearted, happy-go-lucky appearance, and have her smiling and laughing. It was a genocide playthrough, by the way. A laughing and smiling and just generally, and not like the Glasgow, I'm smiling because I'm killing you. No, that's the wrong aesthetic. I want her to legitimately be killing these things with a total sincerity in how innocent and pure she was being. Oh, by the way, the main character of Undertale has always been female for me. That's why I'm saying she. Anyways, and I could just picture certain scenes like her murdering Undyne, the Undying, in this big battle as she's just kind of jumping around, and then there's this one knife stab as Undyne falls to pieces, and Chara actually gives her a hug before walking on as Undyne is melting and disintegrating behind her. Just stuff like that. Exactly, Deacon. That was exactly what I was going for. The entire idea was that Chara was clearly and distinctly unattached to these people, that it was just a game to her. And therefore, it was just something she was doing to have fun. And then putting that side by side with the perspective of these people as if it was their lives being ripped apart and shredded and destroyed. Yes, Salty, I am secretly an alien who was originally a human but became an alien in order to conquer the world. This way. Rohai's, I don't think I've ever written an anime, no. Why do you ask? Well, I don't agree either, Netherzim. Like I said, it was just like my take on it. What I would do with it if I was handed the reins and said, make an Undertale video. That's how I would do it. Really play up the total, utter lack of concern for the lives she is abstractly destroying. Complete 100% disconnect between Chara and everything else going on around her. Any Final Fantasy. Oh, only 2 seasons, Lumplord? Ooh, let me think about that. I mean, actually, Chara, basically, Nicholas. If I was doing a thing on it, I wouldn't include Frisk at all if I'm doing the Genocide playthrough. Just make it Chara, much simpler, much easier. Just do that. Right, I'm going this way. But yeah, Chara, as presented in the actual game, would probably be well aware of what she's doing. Okay, any number of seasons, then I return to my original answer, the Final Fantasy series. I've actually talked about how I think FF4 and FF6 both would actually work as a television show, and where I do the season breaks and that kind of a thing. If I ever look at Super Mario RPG or FF9, I intend to do the same analysis in my in-depth reviews, and be like, okay, here's where I end Season 1. FF9, by the way, would also probably be a good pick for a television show. This way? Yes. Leave me alone, bird thing. Oh. All of them, Nicholas. Young. No, I take that back. I would have the twins rescued, but I would have it be actions of Cecil and the party that rescued the twins. Yang would stay dead, and obviously Tella would stay dead. Sid would stay dead, too. The rest, I'm more willing, and by the rest I mean the twins, because they're the only ones, I'm more willing to leave alive. I can Enigma? I had no plan to. Because the Warcraft 3 lore run's already in the lore run playlist. I guess since we have a Warcraft playlist now in preparation for the WoW lore run, I could do that. Yeah, we're doing a lot better now that we've got this equipment and another level under our back. I would not have Edward stay dead. I think Edward being crippled actually suits his character better. I would have Edward be crippled. Like, I would make that a point. Edward is now, like, wheelchair-bound, basically, and has to be cared for. But I would have him still survive the experience, because he did grow, and he did learn. And it was great to see, like I said during the FF4 in-depth review, a normal man affect the lives of giants, affect the lives of the heroes. And I think that that suits Edward quite well, so I would rather he be alive for that. So you're on, Celestial. Sandwiches! Nom 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 nom. Why not, Shadow? We have thousands of feet tall giants. Why not have a frickin' wheelchair? A chair with a wheel on it. It's not the most complicated technology known to mankind. You know what? I will say this, Enigma. I'm really happy that at least one of my people uses my playlist, because I actually put a lot of effort into separating those playlists and making sure that everyone's nice and organized. I use playlists when I watch other people's content. That's actually the primary method I use to find videos. So, yeah, I actually am glad at least someone else is using my playlists. I think I will go ahead and add the Warcraft 3 lore run to the Warcraft playlist. Not right now, though. I'll do that later. Yay! I have 2 people who use this playlist. Favorite pizza topping is everything. No, I'm kidding. All the vegetables. I actually have not had pizza like I really like in forever, not since California. Back there were a couple of restaurants that had really good pizza. We're talking like this tall pizza, but it's like basically having a salad, except no lettuce, on your pizza. And it's phenomenal, and I love it. Loved. I really should say I haven't had it since then. So I like, tomatoes and black peppers and or black olives and peppers and jalapenos and just all the vegetables. Pile it on. But if I had to pick one, I would probably go with black olives. She's allowed to have her own opinion, Jaywalk. Yay! So that's another person who uses playlist. This is great! More of you using my playlist. This is great feedback. I'm actually genuinely happy to hear about this, guys. You know, admittedly, like I said, I kind of did it for my own sake, so to speak. Like, not for me. I don't need to find my stuff. I can find my videos instantly, because I could just search for them. Because I have the creator playlist. But every time I go to another site, and they have, like, no playlists, and I just have to manually look for the specific videos I want to watch, that just drives me crazy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to playlist up my videos, so people can always find my stuff. And yeah, I made the move to playlist everything up about a year ago, actually, at this point. I think it was actually over a year ago. It was not too long after the Final Fantasy Marathon. Yeah, you want to hear something weird, guys? You know, I make about $1,500 a month. I have like 10,000 subs. I'm not big, is what I'm trying to say. Despite that, would you believe... Well, can anyone guess how many videos I have on my channel? For being as small as I am. I don't even know how to answer that, Shadow. What do you think of water, Shadow? Most of you are getting pretty close. 1,116 videos on my site. Now that's down a little bit thanks to CBS. But, yeah. So 1,100 videos. A billion! 1,100 videos, and yeah. Anyways. So yeah, that's another excellent reason why I try to playlist everything up. You sure, Netherzine? Because last I checked, and I'm checking this very second, because my Patreon says I make $1,500 a month. That is also gross, which is important. I don't mean it's disgusting, I mean that's gross instead of net. I have to pay taxes out of that. I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining, because some people think I make more money than I do. Thanks, Enigma. Time to meet the Native Americans. Okay, all joking aside, I actually like these people. They're traditional, but not portrayed as if that's stupid. Or I should say, they're not portrayed as if they're stupid. It's more like these are people who are traditional in a world that is constantly moving forward, and so they are slowly adapting in their own way, rather than simply being assimilated by the outside culture. I like that distinction amongst the Gareth. Yeah, the Gareth theme is pretty cool. I like the, yes, Nicolas, as soon as I get Larsa, I'm going to do hunts. I like the mask thing they have going on. For those who are not aware, they basically are given these masks that are custom crafted for them. And those masks are a part of them, part of their life, part of their soul, if you will, a part of their culture. They don't take those masks off unless something really big happens to change their life, in which case they will change the mask, but then put it right back on. They don't take their mask off unless they're dead, in other words. Nice little thing there. As an aside, I actually need to chop off the run today in a bit. I do plan on streaming tomorrow. Shoot. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And if I won't, then I will have to destroy everything. Ah, right. I have to go talk to the elders. That's where I'm at. One of the other... You know what? I just realized... no, there isn't Valaquenta. I had to delete it. One of the other things I like about the Gareth is, despite being, you know, their own little particular culture, separate and whatnot from everything else, hey, Omni, they're not like dicks. They're not like, oh, you are not of us, and therefore you are a blasphemer who must die horribly. Instead, they're actually surprisingly respectful of other people who don't think or believe the way they do. And as weird as that sounds, I like that. Where's the... There it is. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Don't want to get rid of those. By the way, anyone out there been playing Final Fantasy Explorers? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, isn't that a great little thing, Brigwin? And by great, I mean terrible. Guys, you want to hear something really funny? This isn't often enforced, but by the writ letter of the law, if I was to hand a friend of mine $2, that's taxable income to him. By the writ letter of the law. Obviously, that's not really what you'd call enforced. It's also debatable, because that kind of thing is usually settled in court. But, yeah. That's here in the States, by the way. I can't speak for other countries. I want that one. And that one. And that one. It is ridiculous, Enigma, absolutely. It's one of the reasons I'm so careful with my taxes. Because, put simply, the kind of thing that I do, making money online and Patreon, this is actually new ground for tax code. Isn't fully covered under tax law. So basically what I do is I treat this as a petty cash account, for those of you who know what that means. In other words, all income I bring in, I treat as if it was cash for tax purposes, and then pay taxes out of that as if I was literally just running a local shop. And people were showing up and giving me money for it. That's the only way I really have to make sure that my taxes are on the up and up, and I don't get any calls from the IRS one day saying, "Hi, we're here to destroy your life." No, I haven't, little Billy. And apparently no one's been playing FF Explorers. I was going to ask about it, and what people thought about it, but oh well. Okay, so... What? I just got you a sword, and that's better? Really? Okay. No! It's true, Shadow. It's true. It's 100% true. If the IRS gets involved in your life, things aren't just bad. Things are really bad. Try to remember this. Here in the States, if someone like that shows up at your front door, they're not there to help you. Right now I've been playing as a monk, personally, in Final Fantasy Explorer. Unfortunately, there's no real leveling, per se, of jobs, which is a little discouraging, actually. So, I may be stuck with Monk forever. The IRS is a non-government agency that handles the collecting of tax money for the government. And I really wish I was exaggerating about that, but that's the truth. So, yeah. What type of mindset do you need? All right, so here, let me be honest with you, Omni. First and foremost, you need cheats, and by cheats I mean cheat, singular. You want the cheat that I have. You want the cheat that makes it so that all enemies drop their entire loot table every time you kill them. It basically just completely removes the grind from the game. Leveling at that point is much easier, money stops being an issue, and crafting stops being the grindiest thing in the universe. That's the first thing you need. Those cheats are available no matter what version of the game you're playing. Those cheats are usually available via Codebreaker, but that's, again, pretty easy to do. The mindset other than that you want is to... Well, if you don't like the gameplay, then endure the gameplay for the story, and if you like the gameplay, then acknowledge that the gameplay is the trough for the high of the story, and embrace the setting building and the political story and the background lore, which are all pretty much the highlights of FF12. In my opinion. I enjoy the gameplay, as I've discussed. The reason I enjoy the gameplay in a very similar way to I enjoy the gameplay in Pokemon. Now that may sound like a weird comparison, but what I mean by that, for me the gameplay is this thing right here. This is the type of game, like Pokemon, where most of the actual tactics and strategy and whatnot is before you actually go into combat. You set up your gambits, you set up your items, you set up your equipment, you set up your inventory, you set up the things. Hello, Salty, I'm noticing you. No, go away. I'm kidding, don't go away. You set all that up before the game, before you actually get into combat. Then you go into combat and you basically see if it works, and if it doesn't, you're on hand to fix things. That's the best perspective, I think, to look at Final Fantasy XII's gameplay. All of the actual engagement is before you get into combat. Setting all this up and thinking about, okay, well, I want this to work here, and I want this to work here, and I want this to work in this order, and yada, yada, yada. I actually put a huge amount of thought into my gambits, and